All right. So from the looks of it, Twitch is continuing to act up after having a big temper tantrum this week. So,
Oh, did it? I didn't notice.
fair warning if you're a live beaster. But if this is an MP3 file, then don't worry about it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been flickering.
I guess the times that I do it, I kind of dodged it. I didn't really notice many problems at all. All of my Twitch streams this week went completely without a hitch, not a single problem. I didn't have any difficulties with anything, so
Uh,
we
on a
can just move on
on a technical
and
level.
not talk about that just at all. Just not even a single issue of any kind.
Should I close the calculator app that I have open on my phone, or
I think what really hits is that when you were saying that, I could see the phone out of the little corner of the box
mm-hmm,
the view screen,
mm-hmm.
and I knew for a fact that you were not lying, that the calculator app was open. And it reminds me of God, what was it? You remember like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago we had this goof about like, what would you rather people see, your search history or your calculator history?
That one was
You
great.
remember that?
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna change my answer to definitely the calculator history.
Yeah, no, calculators need incognito mode.
Um yeah, okay, so this is the second. So I had a stream this week in which I was playing I Somnium Files to the Nirvana Initiative, and I ran into a puzzle which required some multiplication, and discovered that I had some very basic, fundamental misunderstandings of how multiplication worked, which caused me to stumble on it for like 40 minutes. Because one of my mods, Diana, no, sorry, not Diana, Yellow Couch, decided to put it in emote mode so that no one could help me with my math problems. Because I thought 2 times 0 equals 1. Because I thought that everything times 0 equaled 1, when in fact it is a number to the power of 0 is 1, which is different. What's weird is, I know you've played this one, Wooly. This is the second time an Uchikoshi game has
Mm-hmm.
done this to me,
Mm-hmm.
but the first time no one saw.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was is that 999 taught me that I am absolutely fucking trash at Sudoku.
Oh yes, yeah. Sure.
There's a puzzle in 999 on the DS which is just a Sudoku puzzle, and it taught me that I am goddamn awful, just terrible
Now
at Sudoku.
I would like to start my side of this by just saying that take this as this is a pretty great example of the contrast between our styles of execution. You see, when
Yeah.
Pat has an
Yeah.
execution scheduled, he will sharpen up his axe, put his mask on, come down and lead you out to the block, throw your head down, and before the count even begins, just start swinging.
Yeah.
I prefer to walk into a room and just put a rope on the table and then
Yeah.
just kind of stare at you.
Yeah.
And then
And then we kind of stare at each other, and it's kind of awkward.
and you can just like kind of figure out what you're supposed to do with the rope. you know. Yeah.
Do you have a chair? No. So yeah, that man, these visual novel games, you learn all sorts of interesting things.
Yeah, so good thing you didn't win any contests here in Canada that involved you being asked a skill testing question, which is mandatory to receive your prize.
Yeah, the most important thing about the skill testing question though is that you don't have to answer it on the spot.
Right.
You
Sure.
you only have to answer it upon cashing it in.
Sure. But also,
Um,
you absolutely will be denied your prize if you get it wrong.
it's happened. Yeah, it has absolutely happened. I think there's 2 cases in which people lost out on $1 million payouts because they screwed up like Bedmess or PEMDAS, depending on where you're from.
Bombed ass because I
Um,
was in French immersion for that. So
yeah. Well, what's important is that um, uh, when I was streaming that is I entered into a parallel universe in which I used to be able to do math, but now the new version that people were watching has a Pat that can't do math anymore.
mm-hmm.
Um, I'm starting to worry because I've always thought I was a pretty good, smart guy, and I'm like botching all sorts of like normal ass third grade, fourth grade math situations. And there's types of puzzles that I have never solved once in my life. I can't do a slide puzzle.
Yeah.
I like slide. I can't do them. I don't understand.
So I think the way to think about it is to look at the trajectory of what's left and kind of think about how many bumps along the way are going to actually require you to solve something mathematically. And math
Few.
there's not many math hurdles left in the way. So
Yeah.
that's not going to get
Most
any better.
math hurdles are artificial, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And while it's fun to go brush up on, some Wikipedia history or go, relearn or reread some other interesting things you might have looked at in school, nobody goes and does timetables for fun. Right?
No.
Nothing about, like, there's some stuff that you learn in high school that you might go back and do for fun as an adult. Math is not one of those things.
Unless you're a big nerd.
Unless you're a humongous nerd. This doesn't apply to you.
You know, so I had to take, in my last year of university, it turns out I had to have a math credit as a gen ed credit. And I had been putting it off, but I didn't quite remember that. So I took, an introductory gen ed math course in my 4th year of university, and it hit. I was like 24 at the time, so it had been like high school, grade 11 in 2003. Like it had been like 8 years since I'd done any math at all. And I remember reading the whole math textbook the night before both of the exams, which were worth 50%.
Fucking work.
Except I passed.
Jesus. That's not supposed to work.
It's not. It's not.
And the shit
but I did it.
The shit you read an hour before you fall asleep is pretty much gone anyway.
What are you talking about? The shit you read an hour before you fall asleep is the easiest to integrate in your memory.
Is it the other way around?
It's the other way around. Yeah,
okay.
No. Reading and studying like an hour or two before sleep will integrate into your memory more easily than stuff in the middle of the day.
But it doesn't feel like that for me, because whenever I pass out with like a page or a podcast, and I'll stop it right before I pass out, I then have to go back and I'll have to go back like 5-6 minutes in that podcast to catch back to where I remember.
Oh well. That depends how you're going to sleep. If you're going to sleep when your body fails you, that's one thing. Because it has to be active participation in the memory and then sleep shortly thereafter. But I know you and I know me. Usually when we go to sleep is because we're like drooping.
I can't hold
just
my
like,
eyelids.
I need to go sleep now. No, not that. It has to be active brain.
Oh, well, I haven't had that in
alert.
years. I don't know what that.
I haven't. So. I haven't had that since I was a child. But
yeah.
So yeah, no. Like somebody was like, you say that shouldn't work. I don't know, man. Like I don't know how much you should trust the university system at all, because like you'd be fucking amazed what somebody with obsessive compulsive disorder, procrastination issues, and a healthy dose of fear can accomplish in the 3 hours before that essay is due. It's like, oh man, it's crazy how you can just fucking use the fucking what's it called, the Chicago AP fucking bullshit to fucking find sources based off of any bullshit you fucking make up in your head, and you can find it. You internet that up, you can find a source in a second.
I've talked about the example of the person who I met in college who was on their way to med school to basically be a neurosurgeon, and she was a really not smart individual. She was surprisingly slow and just like not a lot of common sense, just pretty kind of dumb. It was a bit wild,
all right,
but unbelievable memory and the ability to recall.
That's
all it took to.
That's all doctoring is.
It was. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess if you have perfect recall and you perfectly recall what to do in a situation, that you know,
bone connected to the knee bone.
I guess that'll get the job done. But it was a moment of like, whoa, this is someone saving lives that is staring blank faced at. Anyway, it was just like, okay, this is all about memorization. You can get really far.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like whenever I was in the school, I always just went and been like, hey, do I need to know this for the next 2 hours? Okay, I'm gonna learn it, and I'll have it for the rest of the day, and then it can go.
Yep.
It can go far away. But if you want me to explain to you the fake steps to resurrect Aerith that I downloaded off of GameFAQs printed out with my new printer that includes fighting Onyx Weapon and getting Sephiroth on your party, I could probably muddle those through to you 20 years later.
When we were talking about the FF lies and in all the ones that came with FF6 as well, Min described how he printed out a list of secrets of FF6 that was like 90 pages or some ridiculous shit, and they were all fake secrets from GameFAQs.
No, they were all bullshit. They're all garbage.
Incredible. Okay. Just before we move on here, I'm going to see if there's anything my end can do to help with which is going on Twitch-wise. So,
okie dokie.
Let's just do a quick hard restart.
Okay.
Just to make sure, because it's getting pretty bad.
It's pretty rough.
All right. So, be back in a second. Okay. So, let's see if that helps a little bit. All right. Anyways. So, yes, let those parts of your brain die. You'll never use them again.
Okay.
Except for the next Ushikoshi game, where you'll then be.
Have you heard about the Philadelphia experiment?
No.
I couldn't believe it. That man's writing style is a parody of itself.
But I think that thing where a character says something like that in the middle of an anime or so is also a way of showing a character being really smart. Is that they're aware of these obtuse moments in foreign history,
So it's a minor spoiler for the first game and even less so for the second. But the I Somnium Files 2 engages in what I can only imagine is a video game story's first attempt to gaslight the player character, in which in the first game a character starts going off on the Uchikoshi conspiracy wagon, the morphogenics and the evil corporation that sees things from space and the aliens and all that.
Someone with an infinite bank account to set up all this bullshit.
And then that ends up being kind of a red herring kind of thing. And then you start the second game, and within maybe an hour and a half, that company exists and is real and is actually all about that shit that you thought was fake.
Oh.
And is actually even crazier than it was described by somebody you thought was nuts in the first game. Like, it's fucking weird. That game's great. That game's great. I have nothing else to say other than it's great.
Okay. Yeah, I get. Yeah, there's not many questions to ask if it's just like, I'm just like, are we gonna get a game 10 years from now that he puts out where the final dramatic moment will be solving a Wordle?
Yeah, maybe. Why not? Why not?
Like,
why not?
Are we just on the timeline for a Wordle to be the final dramatic thing? Anyway.
So that, I mean, the math, huh? It's tough. I guess we're on my week now because of the math.
Might as well.
Right. The other stuff I played this week, hey, iSomnium Files 2 is good. You know what's actually not good at all? Two things. One, there's a problem with people's overall taste and the Steam rating system, where it just has positive or negative reviews and then says very positive or overwhelmingly positive or mostly negative or, you know, what have you, right? And people's taste is trash. So a cool little indie game, a horror game, hits the Steam called Madison. And it looks like a PT game or what have you. It's got 452 reviews, and it's very positive. And I'm like, well, I play horror games a lot. We'll stream this horror game, right? Wow, it's fucking terrible. Like, absolutely goddamn awful in almost every respect. It's in fact, it is awful in a... So I was talking to Paige about this earlier, where I feel like I've played like 60 or maybe 70% of all horror games, right? Because of Shitstorm and the history, right? And all the bad ones are bad in the same way, which is what's so frustrating about the genre. They all try for random jump scares that don't hit, or they don't have the right audio-visual design, or their core concept is lame in a way that makes it so that it doesn't get you, right? And that's why you get stuff like the original Slender Man free indie game that was cheap and poorly made, but actually kind of excellent. And you're like, oh, yay. Madison is visually pretty nice, and it's clear that a lot of work went into it. And they try a couple cool new tricks, and they are awful. It is wander around a spooky house, right? That, like PT, in which noises, and you got to find items and puzzles and that kind of thing. There are very, very, very rare enemy encounters, and the problem is in its core concept and its execution. For one, it's a haunted house story that wants to be about a witch cult, but then there's like 4 or 5 random other ghosts that you deal with for no reason. It feels like 4 little games combined into one.
Little David Cagean. Okay.
Yeah, it has a bad tendency of wanting... So in horror games, it's a tough to make you look at the thing they want you to be scared of. And this game has it really bad. It's a hallway crawler, like, you know, in a house like PT, in which I somehow missed almost every, like, visual spook that tried to cross my field of vision. And to solve that in the game, what they do is they create situations in which they lock you into like a square or like a room or like a closet or a bathroom, so that you have to listen to like the audio log or the spooky noises, or you have to be looking in a certain direction so that you see the monster. But the end result is that every time you get locked in, you go, oh, cool, I'm fine, nothing can hurt me.
Right.
Because the game doesn't have combat, really.
Right. Okay, so then the mystery becomes, why is it so overwhelmingly positive?
Because people are morons. There's a sequence in the middle of the game that is like astonishingly poor, in which they reorient the house's architecture, and you're walking around playing gramophones to play a song called Blue Knees while the Blue Knees monster is running around to kill you. You have to play the gramophone for like 50 seconds in order to complete the thing. And it's random as to whether or not you'll get the item you need. And the whole time the monster is spawning and is invisible. And you have to try and take a photo of it while it gets close to you based off of an audio cue. So you're playing this gramophone, and the song is awful to listen to. It is like, Blue Knees in the window, like it's ear searing. And the monster will clip through walls to get like right through the wall.
Nice.
To get you. But you're supposed to be like looking out, and when you play the gramophone, the camera locks to the gramophone.
Of course.
And it's playing music over its own audio cue to tell you that the monster. It's terrible. It's awful. And on top of that, it's one of those games that has like no highlights or anything, and you want to get like a cassette tape to play, and that'll trigger the next part of the scripting, right? Every key item in the game appears based off the scripting of the last item that you had to do. So in a standard horror game that requires items to unlock doors or do puzzles, most of those items just happen to exist, and you're going to wander around, you're going to pick most of them up and then use them as you would. Most items in the game don't show up unless you did the last step in the chain. So I'll like explore the whole house and every single room, and then I'll go, oh, in the bathroom, it turns out there was a wrench I didn't see. And when I pick up the wrench, that is when the cassette tape spawns all the way on the other side of the house.
Okay.
So now I have to re-scrape the whole house. And that happened over and over and over and over.
Yeah. No, that's grounds for absolutely fucking not playing that.
Right?
Okay. Multiple. A scrape is not a real scrape until the next step.
And yeah, whether or not you find something in a room depends on whether or not you picked up the right item in the earlier part of the house. But the house is almost totally open the whole time. And on top of that, I really appreciate what they did. They tried to do a really cool sound technique. There is a sound library that they're using, which I want to say is maybe 200 to 300 sounds of a door creaking, thunder, a chittering noise, suspicious chair moving, just little ambient noise that if you heard it in a totally empty house, supposedly, you'd be like, what was that, right? Hundreds of them. And they play randomly. And in your headphones, it uses 3D audio. And so they play randomly, usually outside your field of vision, to make you think that something's behind you or, something's spooky. And the execution of that is the shittiest I've seen for any audio technique in any game ever, because they play 45 seconds to 90 seconds every time. Almost like after you hear a noise, you wait 45 seconds, and then you have another 45 seconds before the next noise is going to play, over and over and over the whole time. And enemies don't exist when you're actually exploring around. So it's nothing. So almost within like 10 minutes, all those little noises just amount to like kind of annoying background noise because they're constantly trying to be like, oh, what,
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
and you're like, no, it's nothing, and I know it's nothing.
It's interesting because I'm hearing like almost like like a poorly made kind of like Phasmophobia type game, but
Yeah,
the scripting is what's making the whole thing not work, and implementing anti speedrun tech and you know things like that.
oh, you want more? Okay, so for the last half hour, me and the chat just gave up, and I had a mod just feeding me a guide on like here, right? Including me testing the game for streaming, like OBS stuff, and all that. It took and credits. It took 4.1 hours to beat. There is a extended maze section in the game that is just a pure maze, and then there's an extended puzzle section in the game which requires time hopping that also has four mazes in it that all shuffle. And as I'm doing it, and as I'm trying to figure out if there's even an item in my room, and I still beat it in 4 hours, I'm like, this feels like a sequence that has been implemented explicitly to beat the refund timer.
To just burn the clock. Oh my god.
Because if you took those two sequences out, and the game was a little more straightforward about what you actually needed, you could crush it in fucking 2 hours, no problem. And then and it's $40, so it's fairly expensive as an indie horror game. And then the saddest part is at the end, and you're like, the ending is terrible. And you get to the end, and you're like, wow, what an absolute fucking piece of shit. And the first thing that loads in before the credits even start is in memory of, and it's the director's family member who passed away. And I'm just like, oh god, oh man,
that doesn't feel good when it's on something not good.
No, it doesn't. Oh, and also bonus, there's a $3 DLC to change the skin of your Magic camera.
Nice. Okay.
So
yeah.
Is just absolute piece of fucking shit. And the thing that I took away from this more than anything is that when you look at reviews for a horror game on Steam, people play it for a half hour and a ghost materializes in front of them and hits them with the jump scare, and they go, "Oh, that was scary, good horror game."
So I was about to ask, like, going back to the overwhelmingly positive reviews, like, can you then use that metric on that genre, you know?
No. A lot of horror games are bad. Like a lot of horror games are bad. And I bet, I'm curious, because I'm thinking, hey, what's a highly anticipated shitty horror game?
Okay.
Right? Well, and I'm like, okay.
So Madison, was it?
Madison.
Okay.
A Machine for Pigs does in fact have mixed reviews. Good. Because that game's terrible. What about Amnesia Rebirth? Very positive. That game sucks. It's not scary. Yeah, so yeah, no. Yeah, let's go hit the medium. Ooh, I bet the medium has
Bloober Team.
Good old Bloober Team's the medium. That's right, very positive. Yeah, much like horror movies.
Okay.
Yep. Horror criticism for games is terrible.
Same shit. Why would it be any different? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Now I'm probably, a bit like hoity-toity up my own ass. Like, oh, is this wine not from the the section of France. I won't even spit in it because I've played so many horror games. But like, yeah, no, just fucking. I would love. I would love to see completion statistics on Madison for achievements, because like that game feels desperate to make itself last as long as possible by hiding items from you. Just infuriating.
Man, the refund timer scam tech that's pretty amazing, because that's also like unique to the environment we're in. We're living in a time where that is what Steam's goal, that's what Steam's policy is, and you just want to see like if that ever changes. Do games start coming out that like time themselves differently? You know?
Oh, that has absolutely already happened. Like 100% it's fun. So yeah, Madison is terrible, bad game. I also did something else with my time that was awful. I played FF14, but specifically, I decided that I wanted to go do an old piece of content called Eureka that I had never done. They wanted to make a part of the game that was more like FF11, where you just wander around and kill enemies, like a lot less structured, a lot more like freeform.
There's stuff you didn't do.
Oh yeah, there's tons. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff I didn't do. And then it has 4 stages that are like areas that you advance to. And I got to Pagos, which is the second one. And I had heard people say, "Wow, I really didn't like it." And I thought they were exaggerating. This particular stage, Pagos and Eureka in FF14, is the worst piece of content ever released for FF14. It is hands down the worst thing they have ever made. And it's impressive.
Okay.
It's impressive in how bad it is.
Is that why? Did you know this and dodge it over time?
So everyone I knew complained about it back when it came out, because it came out like 4 years ago, and I didn't care about the rewards, and I just kind of didn't have time to do it. Now they've toned it down a little bit in terms of the grind, and there's an item I want out of it. So I've said, it can't be that bad, and all my friends already did it, so they already know how to help me out with it. And then I go in and I go, okay, well, the first one is not bad, the first stage. And then I do that. And I get to the second one, which is Pagos. And I go, okay, so there's can't be that bad. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. It is terrible. It is a big fucking giant zone where they want you to just kill enemies over and over and over and over. And also fight like public bosses, but you need to grind 2 currencies, and grinding regular enemies doesn't get you currency 2, and grinding the bosses doesn't get you currency 1. So you have to split your time between the 2. And the zone is just huge and has all these drops that'll kill you, and high-level enemies that seal off parts of the zone that you have to like slowly walk past, even though you're trying to rush to a public boss to get to it before other people in the zone who are tired of waiting kill it. And it's just what fucking miserable.
Is that what FF11 was?
So this is the core issue they had, is they wanted to have something that was like relaxed and you just hang out with your friends for a couple hours and kill enemies, yada yada. But the thing is that you saw at least enough FF14 gameplay that it's click, 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 other button, click, click. Right? You know, it's an active participation, right? Mm-hmm. In FF11, your damage is recorded as or displayed or talked about not as DPS, but as DPM. It's damage per minute, because skills in FF11 are minutes apart.
On cooldown?
You're auto attacking most of the time, and you're trying to line up your cooldowns with your friends to get skill chains. So you can absolutely just chat and hang your I'm auto attack, whatever, and chill, and it's relaxed.
I see.
Meanwhile, you apply the same area design to 14 where you're having to push a button every 2.5 seconds. Suddenly it's not relaxed. It's actually like super like has to be focused and annoying and feels like it takes 10 times as long. But then, oh god. And some folks are saying it can't be as bad as another piece of content in the game that is terrible called Diadem, which might be true, but Diadem was so bad it was actually removed from the game on purpose. It's the only piece of the game that was so bad that they just said they ripped the whole thing out and used the zone they had made for it and turned it into like a crafting and gathering area that didn't have any of the old stuff in it and was just pushed it off to the side.
I see.
But as of right now, it is crazy how shitty Pagos was. I did not believe people when they told me. And I should have. And the worst part is that it's a 4-area chain. You have to do the wind one, the ice one, the fire one, and then the water one to get to the rewards that you actually want. The wind one's fun. The fire one's fine. And the water one's good. But that one dead ass in the middle after you've already started and you've already put 10 hours in is so goddamn trash that it's making me reconsider spending any time in there at all.
Is this like stuff that... How old is this relative to other shit? Like, is this right after A Realm Reborn?
This is Stormblood stuff.
Okay. So that's a couple years in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple years in and it's a couple years ago.
Okay.
And so you get to see, like, they made a version of it for Shadowbringers called Baja that was much better and extremely well received and fixed all of the problems. And that's great, except you go back and none of those solutions are retroactive. And since I did Baja first, I go back to Eureka and I go, oh wow, this is just a terrible version of that thing that I already did. But I want the shiny thing at the end. So I'm gonna do it.
So when you describe, I guess I'm thinking when you're describing like a bad piece of 14 content, how does that compare to?
Oh, yeah. What does that mean? Actually,
not what does that mean, but how does that compare to pre-reborn 14? Like,
come on, it's not like that. There are documentary. There's a documentary you can check out on NoClip that goes fairly in depth into what 1.0 was. 1.0, like using the menus was arduous because it would ping the server on every fucking move of your goddamn cursor.
Okay.
Right? In FF14 version 1.0, you had to craft facing like north or south depending on the time of day to get the right elemental properties on your weapon. Like FF14 1.0 is trash on a level that is difficult to actually even understand.
Okay. Well, because when I hear like bad, I'm like trying to put this all in a frame of reference here.
No. When I talk about bad content in 14 now, it is in comparison to its existing content. As somebody in the chat points out, the Eureka portions of FF14 are still a game that can be played, as opposed to a game that you basically can't. Not because it's not around anymore, but because it was so actually functionally broken on every level.
Okay. Just everything in its relative.
So here's how bad Pagos is. Pagos is so bad that when me and my friends were finished playing on Sunday, I said, does anyone want to go? And a couple of them begrudgingly said yes because they wanted stuff from it. And a friend of mine could not go because he had not finished the prior step. Right? It's sequential. So instead of doing Pagos, we spent most of the evening getting them up to date purely so that there would be an extra person to help us get through Pagos faster.
Okay.
Because getting through Pagos as fast as possible is what's really important.
And one person down is detrimental.
Oh, also just for because the FF11 comparisons, when you're in a big boring area, that enemies are much stronger than usual and can kill you more easily. Blah blah blah. Right, and you're supposed to be grinding them for XP and building up your light and all this crap. And there's super tough enemies wandering around that can one-shot you if you don't walk past them. Normally, that would be annoying, but Eureka is the only fucking part in the entire game in which you are going to de-level if you get killed.
Jesus Christ.
Baja, you lose a little bit of XP and you can still de-level, but it's always so busy somebody raises you. But these places are old and poorly populated, so yeah, no, if somebody doesn't pick you up in 6 minutes, yeah, no, you could absolutely de-level and lose like 40 minutes worth of fucking progress.
Wow. Okay.
Which really just, that's the excellence. And because Pagos is the shittiest, it becomes even shittier. So let me explain that. Because it's so bad and people don't like any of the rewards and it's just a stepping stone and it's old, let's say the population of the Wind one, which is the first one, is like 70 people out of 144 in the instance, right? That's fine. That's a nice, healthy number, right? You can get groups together. The system will scale appropriately. And then you go to Pagos and there's 16 people in there. 8 of them are bots trying to farm some item. And the remaining 7 are all in a group at the highest level end of the instance and don't give a fuck about you, and they're just gonna spawn the same enemies over and over and fight them instantly so you can't get to them in time. And when you go, dude, can you wait a second? They'd say, fuck off, who cares? The only instances that matter in here are Cassie and Crab, so shut up, I don't care. So you're like, wow, this
it makes people worse by being worse.
Because the only people in there right now are psychos that are like trying to get some rare item they can sell on the market board.
Interesting. The quality brings out the hatred. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's
de-leveling as a design feature, man. That's something, because I gotta say, like, when I think about, like, well, old King Allen, right? Think about old King Allen. He fucking grabs you, bam, you lose one, and then it's on your floor corpse run, and as long as you go back and get it, and then, like, well, beat him, you'll be able to get back everything, and the more you lose to that, the bigger that pile gets.
Right.
But there's a little bit of a push and a pull and a tension to getting it and like keeping it high, you know? But
the purpose of it is to go, no, you're gonna do this now. You started it. You're gonna be doing this.
You're committed to this. Yeah. So there's a nice little tug of war in that design element, you know? Just saying sorry, you lose an hour of your time or more, end of story, is that's anti-fun.
Yeah. And so part of the idea is like, oh, so it makes you feel tension when you're out in the... Yeah, no, it does. It's not good tension, though. I'm just stressed. It makes it so that if you're playing a character that can res people off the floor, you're constantly being begged from people, hey, can you come halfway across the map and pick me up, please? Please, I'm gonna lose my... Please, help. Can you come in on Red Mage so somebody can res?
Yeah, okay.
Oh god, I didn't even get into like, one of the more annoying parts of it is the way that it works is you load into an instance, and let's say it's 7 in the morning, right? And you go to Pagos and you go, okay, I'm the only person here. What that means is that the server started up a brand new instance for you because there was actually nobody attempting to do the content prior to you. And then you're going to be in that instance and people are going to filter in as such, right? Well, hope you go to, God, where is it? Hope you fucking go to Eureka Tracker. Eureka Tracker. And fucking start a new tracker on Pagos. And then immediately, every time a goddamn fucking monster pops, make sure to click it so that people can follow the tracker, so that you can time when the fucking next when fucking Pazuzu's up, because he's only going to spawn in Gales after you farm this. You click on that fucking link that I sent you and see the nightmare.
I'm so confused by what you're saying.
Basically, bosses can only spawn within a certain minutes of the beginning of the instance, and will, once killed, will spawn X minutes after their own death. So there has to be a consistent tracker running around the instance all day that people are passing around to each other as they enter and leave, so that people actually know whether or not bosses can even be spawned.
Because you need to know what the person that is
you started at 8 in the morning. Well, that means Pazuzu can be up in 90 minutes, but you have to go and farm the spirit fucking assholes at the 60-minute mark, because they only show up at night, and then Pazuzu will show up during the daytime next Gales, and Gales in 40 minutes. That only gives you and God fucking forbid a group of people come into the zone and do stuff and leave without starting the tracker.
And don't use the tracker.
Because now the whole fucking thing is off and people are spending an hour trying to spawn bosses that can't spawn for 3 hours.
But if you're just playing the game and you don't... Like, is it possible to just play the video game and not know about the community tracker?
No. Not anymore.
Because, you know what I mean? This is an external tool that is now a responsibility on anyone who goes into this zone.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Because here's what happens. Okay, I wanna do Eureka. I'm in Eureka. Okay. I'm getting currency that the game's not explaining to me how to get. What is a Nemos crystal? What is a protein crystal? Which one is that? Hey, how do you get a Nemos crystals? You yell in the shout chat. Somebody says use those for your weapon. You get them from Fates. And they go, okay, is anybody doing Fates? And before that question gets answered, somebody in chat goes out tracker in all caps with a question mark. And then somebody posts the link to this thing. And then you go, what's the tracker? And then they go, well, we have to go prep Fafnir over in the right because it's nighttime and we need to kill the fossil dragons to prep Fafnir because he's a 17 boss. And if I'm level 16 to 20, that's the only way I'm going to get experience.
Okay.
Do you want to join up? And you go, what's prep Fafnir? And they go, shut up.
So that's, yeah, I feel like this has been described before with like other elements, and I know WoW as well had a bunch of this, but it's like the third party things, the outside of the game things are mandatory. You cannot purchase the game, start playing it, make friends in game, and solve all your problems in game.
So here's the thing.
I mean, you can, but it makes you an asshole.
They're not. No, not even. It's not that they're mandatory, right? There's a lot of. There's an enormous amount of systems.
Oh shit! Tracker just updated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Ameritat. Respawned. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't even know what tracker I linked you. That's like whatever the most active tracker is right now.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
But there's a lot of hidden timers in 14. Usually, the hidden timers are associated with, high-end enemies that show up in the open world that you can kill for rewards, right? You can decide, hey, I want to kill, let's say, what's called an S-rank hunt, right? And how would you do that? You would scrape every zone that has one with your flying mount over and over and over and over until one popped. and then you would go into shout and go, "Hey everyone, so and so is up. You guys want to fight so and so?" And people would show up and you would fight him, and that's totally viable, right? Except there is now a Discord, which is the primary thing that people use, which tracks every hunt spawn across every server. And when they are killed, they are tracked via an application. And they will run hunt trains every 90 minutes to 2 hours on every server and go, okay, guys, we're going to depopulate the world of every single one of these bosses. So show up and join the train, and then we will just go bang, 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 and get all of them. And then those will all be depopulated for normal players until the next hunt train.
It's like an ARG. It sounds like an ARG.
This is okay. So there is a type of content in 14 which is a weird cross between open world content and dungeon content, and it's called Baldesian Arsenal, and it's the final thing in Eureka, and you actually fight. Do you remember Absolute Virtue in FF11, that boss that made all those people sick?
No.
So FF11 had a boss called Absolute Virtue that made a whole bunch of people horribly ill because it had to be fought for like 25 hours. And after that, Square was told you don't do that anymore.
Sure.
So Baldesian Arsenal created just the absolute most amazing shitstorm with people fighting and shitting all over each other, because it was a situation where in the final area, you want to do the super dungeon, and you want to do the super dungeon with 23 of your friends who have prepared to do the super dungeon. But how do you get in? Well, you get in by doing this and doing that and fighting this and fighting that. And what that'll do is that will spawn portals in order for you to enter, right? And it will spawn 24 portals in pseudo-random locations throughout the zone that anyone can enter as soon as they see it. So you're spending 2 hours getting the Baldesian Arsenal entrance to pop, and then it pops, and you roll in with your group, and what the fuck? There's like 8 randoms in here that aren't even high enough level to do it. And they took the spots of the people that helped set it up. Get out! What are you doing? And that was just an absolute fucking mess.
Man,
because BA is one of the only pieces of content in which you can't resurrect people in a fight normally. You have a certain limit. So it's actually fairly difficult, and it's a huge group of people, and you get people in and they just immediately fucking wipe, and now you don't have the group of people you need to beat it, and congrats, because you and your stupid friends just went, oh cool, a portal, and walked in. Now I can't get my fucking Ozma mount. Now that, however, is no longer a problem. Because it's old and it's unpopular, the only people running Baldesian Arsenal are now organizing themselves weekly with a Discord called the Primal Forays Discord. So you would go in and you would go, I would like to do Baldesian Arsenal. And they go, okay. And they slot you in, and then you show up at Saturday at noon, and you do the bullshit, and there's only pretty much you guys in there, and you do it, and it's fine.
It's like just stretching the definitions of what a video game is. Like, if you have a part of your game's history where you had a 25-hour boss that made people sick, and then you realized, okay, that's a limit we shouldn't cross over, that's fucked up. That's insane. Yeah. And thinking that's 11, okay.
By the way, that's 11.
I know. I realize that. Yeah. And thinking that's okay because you're like, well, it's a lot of people playing together, so we can just offload the difficulty and stress to the group. The group can all handle that intensity.
They'll handle it.
Oh my god, man.
Yeah, no. The more I play this MMO, but MMOs in general, the more fascinating I find the nonsense internal culture that arises from these kinds of systems. Like it's fucking so fascinating. It's like one of the only reasons Pagos has anyone in it at all is there's an item that is super rare that you can only get from it. And sometimes when content is unpopular, they will go and put rarer items back into them
Mm.
just to flood it with freaks. And that works. Like Baja had a situation where once people got all the rewards from the first part, there were very few people in the first part. Everyone wanted to do the second part, but that made it hard for people to do the first part. So what did they do? Just increase rewards in the first part, and all of a sudden it fills right back up.
Man, it's like it's already at the point when you need a large group of people that are very dedicated to putting the hours in a job like manner. You don't have to cross the threshold into health risks.
Yeah, no. So it's fascinating because I genuinely believe one of the reasons why any of this is tolerable at all is because Discord exists. If I could not click on the Primal Forays Discord, which is a extraordinarily organized Discord with chat, fucking Alliance A, Alliance B, Alliance C chat threads for specific groups in order to line up on specific servers and a schedule and all that. That's all done and runs itself basically. I would never, ever, ever. I would not even consider any of it ever.
Okay.
Right. I still haven't done what's called DR, but I could. Right. When that Discord becomes less popular, it'll just go from, oh, we do it once every week to once every 2 weeks, or maybe once every month. And so you would go, oh, on the Sunday and such, there's enough people to do this that know how to do this, blah 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 blah, right? Everything to do. Oh God, everything to. I mentioned hunts earlier, where people are running the hunt train. Okay, back when Heavensward came out, Discord didn't have the hunt trackers that fucking ran, and you would type in a robot and a bot would record it and add it to the list and all that shit. When Heavensward came out, the best way to upgrade your gear was just to do random hunts. So you had to join an in-game chat thing that only tapped out at 120 people. Sick. And you had to just go off of the gut feeling of everyone that happened to be in that group or what they saw at the time. But since it can only go up to 128 people, then sometimes the other hunt group would kill a boss without calling it. And then you would get there and you'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you killing? Like, well, we called it within our Discord, within our hunt group. And it's a fucking mess. So, yeah, no. Turning these into automated processes using third-party tools is a much better solution than whatever. It does, however, have one downside. So I don't know if you ever saw Max talk about playing FF11.
I haven't.
Max was really good at FF11. And Max played enough FF11 that he learned what enemies were going to spawn where down to the minute. And he could plan, I'm going to go here and kill this guy and get this item, and he could sell that or give that to people. And that enabled him to be extremely successful in-game. But because FF11 was so fucking obtuse and none of these tools existed and Discord didn't exist, that was kind of like hidden knowledge.
Okay.
It's actually, well, you see, Wooly, it's like a fighting game.
Uh-huh.
And it's the easiest way to describe it is third-party tools to track and organize this thing is the equivalent of people putting their secret tech on YouTube instead of waiting until Evo.
Right.
Does it kind of hurt you in the near term because now everyone can get it? Yes. Is it better overall because now everyone knows how this goddamn encounter works? Yes. With only one exception. The only exception, and if you are a person who does this, stop. If you are a content creator for Final Fantasy XIV and a patch is coming up, and you put out a video or you are making a video on how to make money in FF14, you need to go and delete that video right now, because that video destroys whatever technique it is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When materia prices were high and people didn't know how to make materia to sell, and guys put out videos, go, here's how you make a bunch of materia to sell on the market board, that video is up for 1 hour before that method is annihilated off the face of the earth, because everyone sees it and then does it.
Like, all I can think of is how EVE Online is an example of the user community running part of the game, and that's as designed and that's intended, and that's okay, because opting into this game is opting into that aspect. It's not about
the spreadsheet.
Yeah, there's like it feels as if you're, exactly, the version of the game that has somebody just go like, no, I just want to play EVE Online and ignore the community, and it's like, that sounds insane. That's like, you'd never boot into that game for that purpose. There isn't. Exactly.
You're talking about a group of people who lost their minds and pissed their pants because Excel was making an official partnership.
Correct. So but with 14, it has that level of third-party community organized, like, tracking and groups and and things you need to be aware of
totally
outside of the game
from the development.
But there's also the development, which is encouraging you to say, hey, you can now go in and use just AI to get through the story. You could have a single-player like experience. Really, they're encouraging you to play it closed while it's also encouraging you to play it open.
They're redoing everything in A Realm Reborn to be like up to the quality levels of the later stuff, and then they're going to make it so that you can play with AI like the whole goddamn way through.
So it's like encouraging both levels of this, and
like, do you want to be crazy? Do you want to have like the Cerberus mount that 4 people can ride? Okay, go to Baja, join the Primal Forays Discord, and get ready to dive into a spreadsheet, right? Mm-hmm, do you not want to do that? Do you just want to see the end of Endwalker? This way, to your curated, padded experience.
Now, I suppose if all the stuff you're describing is optional content, right, you do have that little asterisk that says, hey, you don't need this. It's if you want it.
Yeah,
if you want the rewards.
The smart thing is that FF14 has a wide variety of what I would call tiers of optionality, I guess. I'm going to make that up right now. So you have your MSQ, which is absolutely mandatory if you want to see the story, because you have to do the quest in the chain, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Then you have your second tier, which is exclamation point that's blue with a plus, and what that does is it unlocks a feature. That's the game's saying this, talking to this person will unlock a feature, right? Then you have your further optional, which is boss fights that are tougher than normal to get rewards, either cosmetic or gameplay, but on the side. Then you have quest chains that don't give you anything, that are just like flavor content on the side. Then you have Golden Saucer, which is just gambling, which is further on the side. Then you have entire zones and types of game that are in the game that are way off. They're for leveling your alternate character. They're for getting a really strong weapon that you don't need. And just further off. And then when you get all the way to the absolute edge of what is mandatory, you have stuff like T and Uwu, which is the ultimates, which you see people like world firsting and fight, going 14 hours a day on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks because they want to be world first, so that they have a title and a weapon that is not useful, but it is got a unique glow that shows off that you are able to beat, Dragon Song's Reprise. And that's it. That's what it wants. Like, do you want the legend title so that you can show off? Do you want the blue sword so you can show off?
The start of this conversation was, hey, I decided to go check out this shit that was over here forever that I never checked out.
And it sucks.
And that's how you found out it was terrible.
And I could stop right now and lose nothing, but I really want this. The sword that I want isn't even statistically good. It's years old. But it's cool looking. It looks like a straight racer.
Aesthetic, yeah.
That's it. Yep. That's all. I just want it.
Yep. That's what it always comes back to.
And that's it.
Okay.
That game is the stupidest. And it's going to get dumber because they're adding an Animal Crossing fucking thing next month.
Jesus Christ.
They're adding an island where you're going to take care of animals and do gardening and Stardew Valley shit.
Oh, just, yeah. Why not? People are already basically trying to do everything like that anyway. Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to see more of me rant about that crap this week, you go to twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. I don't have a schedule for this week yet. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I'll figure it out. Oh, people are reminding me. I forgot. I did a stream earlier in the week where I fucked around, watched Salty Bet, watched Canadian PSAs, and just fucked around and did Flash games. Just garbage, right?
Yep.
Because fuck it, why not? I beat Chris Robin.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Now that's an accomplishment.
4 years in, finally, like, just every couple weeks, I would just go, fuck, and go back to it.
Did you do it from the Flash archive? Like, the collection of, like...
Well, it came back up.
Okay.
I forget where it is. I have it bookmarked somewhere. But it came back up. It came back... and there's the English version, which is what I was playing.
That's an accomplishment.
And it was the most infuriating thing ever because the first shot I got 39 out of 40 on attempt 1.
Damn.
And then it was 38, and then it was 38, and then it was like 37.
Fuck your pants size. Feel proud about that. Holy shit.
Yeah, for real.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck that.
Okay.
It's one of those great moments where you start playing Winnie the Pooh Home Run Derby, and people who don't know are like, "What the hell is this?" And then you get to Tigger, and the fucking ball disappears, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is some bullshit." Mm-hmm. And then Robin, and you get to see my favorite. It's almost word for word every single time you see it. Which is, how are children supposed to beat this?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is they're not. They're not.
And that's why these things became huge. Cool.
Christopher Robin is from the prairies, so he can double fuck off.
Yeah, no, that game, the SpongeBob car one. There's this insane SpongeBob racing thing, and just all of those just poorly made for children Flash games that like ascend to the pantheon of like god level difficulty are always the most innocent brands for children. Amazing.
So, to those of you who have played Winnie the Pooh Home Run Derby but have not actually gotten to Chris Robin, the reason why he is so difficult is that he can rotate between any other character's pitches, and they are faster than the character's own pitch, and they are random.
I mean, like, you need MLB-like reaction, to if you're gonna like swing and hit and consistently do well. Like, you kind of have to be in the realm of what baseball players really do.
Yeah, I'm basically a pro athlete at this point.
There you go.
Is what I'm
there
saying.
You go.
All right, well, that's it for me. What about you, man? What have you been up to?
Okay. Well, so let's start here. I decided to crack open a couple volumes of a manga called Chainsaw Man.
Oh!
Yeah, I read the first couple books of that. You know
Is
what?
that the one with the astronauts on the moon cut in half?
I don't know about that. Maybe I didn't get that far, but I'm really early in. I mean, I'm like 2 volumes, you know. Um, yo, pretty good. That
Yeah, I that's definitely on the list of like, gotta get to it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's really simple. It's very much like you're looking at it and it's the name kind of creates an image, right?
Yeah.
And it delivers on that image, a big bloody gory chainsaw man with chainsaw abilities cutting into things and monsters and doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's what you expect and it's what it is. But like it's at least for the beginning, because again I'm really early. It reminds me of how like One Punch Man kind of starts in a way that is super character centric. Like the character exists almost in a void, and then a world is slowly built around them.
Yeah, the beginning of One Punch Man essentially has no setting.
It doesn't matter. It's just it's just the guy, right? That's exactly it. A setting starts to emerge, and then now, like whenever I'm not like fully caught up on One Punch Man or anything, but like I know that like the organization, the League of Superheroes, and the world and everything are like a major defining point, a part of this, right? And it feels as if like Chainsaw Man is probably going to go in that direction, as a lot of stories do. But a lot of character driven stories like this, like I can see the part where it's like, yeah, this isn't Shonen Jump, and it's because like the character really just like they slowly kind of give you a little bit about the world, but it doesn't really matter as much as you're just like staring at this one guy walking around doing stuff. And it also is like very little like when they do decide to have like exposition, you know, about things and whatnot, it's pretty minimal as well. It's just a simple like not few words, but straightforward, incredibly straightforward with what you're getting out of it.
Let me ask you a quick
and then
question.
it's just and then it just does it.
How like not blunt, but how like simple its original premise is. The character's name is Chainsaw Man.
Mm-hmm.
Is he just a man who has chainsaws as part of his manness?
I mean,
goes, I'm Chainsaw Man.
I mean, there's like once the ability to become Chainsaw Man is unlocked, he is a man with chainsaws that are on him.
Yeah, okay, good.
And
good.
That's it.
Excellent.
That's about it.
What's your superpower? Chainsaws.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, got it.
And it's like oh, he's pretty strong, you know, and that makes for a good shonen protagonist as well. And like when they kind of start hitting at the like reasons behind why, like pretty early on, it's interesting because essentially, I mean, I guess like like volume 1 or so, like mild spoiler here, but it's just the introduction of the idea that like there are demons in the world that are demons of things, you know.
Okay.
And like, you know, there's like there could be a bat demon, a blood demon, whatever. And
got it.
The more people are afraid of the thing, the stronger that demon is.
Oh, that's horrible.
So people's perceptions of a chainsaw are pretty fucking terrified. you know? Therefore, chainsaw would be strong because people, when you think of that, you think of wood cutting and massacres. Horrible, loud, violent, gruesome massacre. You know? So, there you go. Done and done. You know? It's like, okay, I get it. That works. I'm definitely gonna just, you know, keep going through that. And I was debating between like waiting to see because the adaptation hasn't dropped yet. I know it's the anime's been announced and it's coming in. I think the next couple months at some point.
You got to read the whole thing first so you can be insufferable about it.
Yeah, right. No, exactly.
Your duty. Now that you've started, you have to finish it before you get there.
It's like, yeah, I kind of just went fuck it, but I mean, it is, dude. It's an insanely easy, fast read too, as well. Like the thing I'm describing about how the world is so simple and like how the dialogue is straightforward as well and everything. And it's again Shonen Jump, you know. I don't know where it goes certainly, but for the introduction of what it is, it's like, yep, it's like I said, I get there's a One Punch Man sort of vibe to like to it, and the comedy as well is also a little bit is also in that straightforward direction as well. Like the character and the characters, I should say, are appear to be fairly simple in their goals, ideologies, you know, motivations. We'll see how that goes over time.
What's the main character's goal?
It's like at first it was to pay back a whole lot of debt that he owed.
Yeah.
And then it's just like to live a life where he can have more than one slice of bread a day. Like if he can have a slice of bread that might have jam on it, like holy shit, I've achieved my dream. You know? And then when you get past that point, it's like, okay, what's the next dream? Let's touch some titty. I just want to touch a titty.
Okay. Just one?
Know? Just want to get it in there, you know?
Okay.
And then we'll figure it out when we get to the next step. But that's it. There's no Hokage dreams yet, you know. There's certainly no collecting of the One Piece.
He's not exactly pointing at the WrestleMania sign.
The WrestleMania sign is them titties over there. And I just want to cop a feel, man. You know, yeah. It's actually like a bit of a gag in how low and attainable his goals are. You know. It appears to be a repeating thing, and like again, just like 3 hots in a cot. God damn, we're living good.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, it's that's exactly it. It's pretty fun so far. I could see if the animation of the adaptation is going to be like, you know, fucking cool and it's got a budget and things going to look pretty.
Well, the animation preview they've shown looks excellent, but who knows whether or not that's what it'll actually look like.
I mean, it's Mappa, right? I believe so. It's probably going to be solid, and that'll blow up.
That, right?
That'll blow up. Yeah. So,
Chainsaw Man.
I've also seen like and heard. I mean, multiple people have told me to read it. I literally fought a player in DNF Duel whose tag was read CSM yesterday. Like, just literally.
That's
like,
pretty good.
It's at that state of just like, hey, go read this, go check it out. But when the anime drops, you're gonna hear about it a whole lot more for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, look at the official trailer now. It looks great.
Yeah.
But whether or not that's like, how do I put it? Like intro, you know, animated intro quality, or if it's the actual what the show looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Also, quick question: does every character have weird spiky teeth?
Not that I've read so far.
Okay.
No. But everyone sticks their tongue out a lot. There's a whole lot of tongue sticking out, like moments. Seems to be the mangaka's thing. Is just a whole lot of like tongue looseness. Yeah.
Oh, he is just a chainsaw man, isn't he?
Naked man with some chainsaws sticking out. Go.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. It really, like I said, you've been sold the idea of a One Punch Man. You are sold the idea of a Chainsaw Man, and there's the rest is just like, all right, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I don't know where you left off in One Punch Man, by the way, in terms because you said you need to catch up. From osmosis, I feel like he has been fighting the same guy for like over a year.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean,
like, nonstop.
I just want to catch up so that I know who all these peripheral characters are, because I stopped early enough on that, like, they were mentioned and like there was names dropped in a couple of panels here and there maybe, but I haven't seen a ton of these like secondary and third string characters in action. And I know now that there's a whole roster of them. People have like favorites and all that shit. So I kind of just need to get back to catch up to that part.
I liked Metal Batman.
Exactly, all that jazz, you know, and you know, and here too, they waste no time. You start meeting other characters, other demons, other people, and they just like, hey, what's your deal? And it's like, it can be summed up in 2 sentences. Okay, got it. Anyways, you know, so
I'm crushed to death by a vending machine man.
So it's like, yeah, what kind of demons are people afraid of? Are they afraid of a slug? Not really. I mean, kind of. Bats are pretty scary. You know what people are pretty fucking afraid of? Guns.
What's that?
Guns.
Yeah.
Guns are scary. Yeah. guns are real scary. So, yeah.
I see.
How much fear is there going to be in a fucking gun demon? Yeah, a whole lot.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, whole lot. So, there you go. Yeah. So, I'm liking that, and I'll probably to continue. And you know, at the same time, the method I decided to go to do it was I got the Shonen Jump app and just did the sign up for it, and I'm just swiping through.
Yeah.
And
how's that been working out?
Pretty painless, pretty solid. You know, I might just like swipe through, and if and when I catch up, I might just like unsubscribe at that point. But I wish I could just buy the volumes I wanted and not have to do the subscription over time. But whatever, I'll do it for now, and it's $3 a month, you know, and then we'll see where I'm at in a couple months' time. But if I, you know, I feel like I'm just in it for this one thing right now, so meh. We'll see. Yeah, that I do appreciate the fact that like that's an effortless way to just jump in within 5 minutes of my thought of like
and
I should start reading
everything.
That. Yeah, I had a thought. I was like, all right, let's start reading it, and I just grabbed it, bop, 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 and it was done. And that was completely impossible to do, you know, like when I was originally buying manga a long time ago and all that shit. So it's nice to be able to live in that world as well, you know, and good just look at the scans and look at the good quality shit and no hassle. So Chainsaw Man, yeah,
it's definitely come a long way since just having a bootleg fucking everything in just the shittiest quality possible.
Yeah. If this does end up being this crazy complex world that with you know insane built like insane complexity and saga like history to it, I certainly hope that the energy of the main character just being this simple dude, and the simple dude he's got a little simple pooch as well in the beginning there, and
he does. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then it's just like I feel like they can go pretty far keeping that at the core. So good stuff on that. Other thing I did was I started. So I've talked about Dan Carlin in the past. He is a dude who does these history podcasts, and he also like has books. He's an author as well. Not a historian, just a fan of history, but he does a series called Hardcore History.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, he had some great series. He had one called Wrath of the Khans, which is, talking about not, well, I was going to say Genghis, but Genghis is depending on your pronunciation, Khan, and like the whole history of like the Mongolian, the steppe, and that empire. And then there was also like Supernova in the East, which is an amazing, like probably 20-hour just breakdown of the Pacific side of World War II and everything that like escalated from the American and Japanese side of things, and more detail than you can imagine on a lot of that stuff. Really, really interesting to go into. So,
I bet I could imagine a lot of detail about the Pacific theater of World War II.
Yeah.
That's because I'm a stupid World War II nerd.
Absolutely, and again, like, I mean, obviously educational, but like gives you like exhausting amounts of like perspective of all the major players involved, what they were thinking at the time, and then how these like pieces on the board kind of led to the results we got to,
Yeah.
So he recently put out a book called The End Is Always Near, and it's pretty interesting so far. I started that, and it is basically about how throughout civilization, multiple ages and eras, all there's always been the idea of the world as these people knew it in their time is nearly coming to an end, and then it kind of just goes for, and it's just going to cover every like multiple eras of human history and how those things came to an end and what the people were like at the time and what the potential reasons were for it. Really interesting stuff so far, talking about the end of the Bronze Age, the rise of the Iron Age, and things like that. But then obviously it's going to go into much more modern times as well. It's broken up into all those chapters, and yeah, really, really interesting. I mean, one of the things, for example, that like in one of the early chapters was an interesting premise that was brought up when you're just looking at things through the lens of history, was the idea that throughout the entirety of human history, up until almost like 2, maybe 3 minutes ago, most people in a lot of civilization have been raised in situations where, as a child, they were subjected to all kinds of fucked up shit, right? People didn't know how to raise kids, and even if they did, you're in a world where God knows what you had to encounter and deal with.
I mean, like even on the short term, the most countries currently operating now are in a unnaturally prolonged state of peace, and that by itself is wildly different. Where the average person living in, let's say 1850 prior, is probably going to personally encounter a war in some fashion.
At some point, yeah, you can reset the clock, for those moments, as it were.
Even if it's like, oh, Dad went off to war and then came back and was kind of fucked up. Yeah.
Yep. So the idea
that was my grandpa, for fuck's sake.
The idea that is essentially introduces one where you're just like, almost every human being, and like certainly the ones that were like a part of and shaping major parts of history, are all like basically adults that are kids that went through child abuse in some way and then grew up to be adults that are trying to figure that out. Like,
one of my favorite little historical details that has to be thought of when you look at world history in general is that we are the most sober generation of all time.
Sure. Right. Okay.
The rates of alcoholism and drug abuse over the course of like human history
Human
in
history.
general
Mm-hmm.
are so high as to like not have been recorded in many cases.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting thing to like start the course of history off with an idea that it's like these are all fucked up kids trying to figure it out, growing up to adulthood, and then taking out whatever they dealt with and into whatever they see as like being an adult and changing the world around them.
You're like, hey, how come the Greeks went to war so much? Is there anything that could have happened to Greek children that would have made them really pissed off as adults? I just don't know.
It's wild. So this is like one of those things that's like it's like an obvious premise, but like you kind of think about it through this lens for a second. You go like, oh yeah, like it feel like we just started figuring out how to not super fuck up kids, barely. We're barely at that point.
You let them watch their SpongeBob, and you park them in front of the Xbox,
there
and
you go.
It's done. It's just free.
Sorted.
It's solved. The robot will do it for you.
Yeah. So that was like an interesting aspect, and then I'll continue through the rest of it and check back in. But I mean, I'll take the opportunity to once again like plug Dan Carlin and say like, yeah, this is really interesting stuff. Punch Mom is someone who I make fun of her all the time because like she like made it through like history class and graduated just fine and remembers nothing whatsoever about any history.
Okay, so like whereas my math grasp is slipping, like Punch Mom's grasp on like basic historical media is like it's probably the worst I've ever encountered in my life. It's like astonishing.
Comical, right? So she felt like, okay, let me go try to fucking fix this problem. And looking for entertaining ways to relearn about history that you already know or already should know. This was one of the big ones at the top of that list. Was just like, oh, here's a fun podcast you can listen to and some books as well. For just like, whatever subject you think is interesting. So that is pretty good so far as well. The end is always near. Yeah, and then, besides those two, of course, the LPs continue. We did it. I did it.
Congratulations.
I did it my way. Millennia has been defeated.
Did we talk last week about the difference between our methods? I think we did.
I think so.
Because it's really funny to me because like you finally did it and you did it the exact way that you wanted to.
Yeah.
And like congratulations, like that's a kind of stubbornness that I can really appreciate. And I look back to like myself, just like I respect 3 times in 90 minutes to try and just like what kind of stupid bullshit can I do here to make the boss fall down and give itself cancer.
And I think like after getting through it, and it took its time. We got, people recorded the whole saga's there, to which I decided to honestly name the episode this episode.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
This episode is 2.5 hours of fighting Millennia without winning. Because, listen, whoever you might be, whatever that information does for you, it's what you probably want to know. Because some people are like, thank you, now I know to skip this one. And other people are like, thank you, now I know to get in there and watch the whole fucking thing.
Easy, yeah.
So it tells, it's different for everybody, Some people take that type of title to mean this is a filler. Other people take it to mean this is the rich, juicy, bloody meat that they came for. So that's it. we did. So I dropped that on there, and then there's another follow-up episode in which it's accomplished. And yeah, I think the important part too is like after doing it that way and like enjoying how that went, it is not lost on me. It is completely. I am very sober and aware of the fact that it did not have to be this way. This is entirely self-imposed, you know. And I'm not gonna grade anything on a scale of what I do to myself, you know.
There's only one problem with Melania in terms of the game, right? Not like her encounter, but I mean like her position in the game. People like you and I'm going to assume most Elden Ring players that are trying to explore everything as they encounter it, you're going to get to the Halig Tree. Pretty much, me and you both took pretty much the same path there. You're exploring the north, and then you get the medallion, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go check out the consecrated snowfield, and what have you. Melania is, without a doubt, the game's hardest challenge. As a result, what remains in front of you, some of them are going to give you a little trouble here and a little trouble there, but by and large, it's smooth sailing from here all the way to the credits.
Manus into Gwyn.
Yeah, Manus into the rest of the game.
Okay.
And also, Halig Tree is way more intense than the last Legacy dungeon.
Oh yeah, fucking ridiculous.
It's like way more. So it kind of felt after I beat her that it was like more or less like a victory lap after that.
And then like there's something hilarious and just soul deadening about like immediately after that I'm like, okay, cool, let me go see if I can wrap up Millicent's quest. And the process of doing so involves yet another ulcerated tree spirit, and I'm like, I couldn't have hit a lower low after that highest high in the form of the enemy I am the most fucking sick and tired of seeing.
It's a bummer because I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and we had all mostly gotten through most, at least, of Elden Ring, and a friend of mine asked me like, how do I feel about the enemy reuse, right? And I'm torn. Because I think the enemy reuse is pretty tasteful in most places because the game's so huge that unless you explore and do everything in the game, you're actually not going to encounter so much enemy reuse. But I think there's a couple enemies that were reused way, way too often. And that is the Erd Tree Avatar and the Ulcerated Tree Spirit are... like
dragons as well.
Dragons too, yeah. Those three types are reused by far the most. There are like 15 ulcerated tree spirits. Like that's too many.
And
there should have been 5.
I feel like they're proud of its animation and detail because it's really like wild and interesting.
Did you see was it Zuli? I think it was Zuli. Did you see Zuli like figured out what the fuck the ulcerated tree spirit actually is?
I didn't see that video.
Okay, so do you remember the Dark Souls 3 screenshot leak that came out a million years ago that showed a version of Dark Souls 3 like over a year before it came out? And nothing in those screenshots ended up being in the game. Which is probably the weirdest thing. And in one of those why does he look like this? Becoming a Dragon sucks. Bizarre origins of graphic. I'm trying to find the video, but there was one Dark Souls 3 screenshot that showed the eclipse, and there was a gigantic serpent way in the background.
Okay.
Way in the back, and it was absolutely enormous. And I found it. Okay, here we go. Here is the screenshot. I'm sending it to you now. If you can put it up on the thing if you want. But it was a giant fucking serpent in the background, right? And that thing, the ulcerated tree spirit's like name shares a similarity. It's something serpent. And then you add the Pus of Man filter onto the ulcerated tree spirit, and it looks just like that thing in the background. So that is an old Dark Souls 3 like boss.
Way
that
in the
they
distance.
Retrofit.
Okay.
Into
okay.
So those animations are probably super old.
Interesting.
And that was for a dedicated like boss. Which explains why they reuse it quite often.
And
Here,
then there
I'll link it to people in the chat.
I mean, again, like I feel like when you reuse something that often, like you kind of like you're either really proud of it, you wanna, you like it a lot, you think it's something that is like a unique type of challenge, whatever the reasons are, and you don't end up feeling that way, for example, about like the giant bears, because you're like, well, bears are part of what's running around in the wild on the overworld, I'm not surprised to see a bear in a forest or up on the mountains or in the in a cave.
I am genuinely of the opinion that, like, especially because you're getting to that part of the game after it's been patched, and you notice the patches kind of stopped, like they were coming out pretty regularly. I'm of the opinion that those patches represent the 2 extra months of real full development, and the game shipped like genuinely unfinished.
Finishing NPC quest lines, for example.
NPC quest lines, the ability to see NPCs on the map. Almost every spell has been rebalanced since launch, right? Game wasn't done. And when I think about the bears, that's the most this isn't done of anything in the whole game. They are the strongest enemies in their respective zones. I would rather fight 3 ulcerated tree spirits back to back than an equivalent bear from its own zone.
I disagree, but it's just...
I fought so many fucking ulcerated tree spirits now. I can whoop them no problem.
It's in that category.
People are pointing out now there was an entire class of weapon that didn't work, but there was an entire class of weapon that the final upgrade downgraded its damage.
Yes, 20 plus 25 made
There's
shit
no
weaker
way
initially.
that wasn't actually bugged in the database. They just didn't have time to finish it.
So yeah, anyway, that's where that's at. And another just honest warning for an upcoming episode where Reggie and I get full on stun locked on a plot item trying to figure something out. And
what's the item?
Basically it was something that made reference to it was the sword that like a blue dancer used, and then like making reference to a fairy that taught a blind swordsman that then... Okay, so hard restart on modem, router, computer, everything. Let's see how this goes. Hopefully well.
Oh no, the podcast is still terrible.
Yeah, well, no refresh amount is going to fucking fix that problem. Jesus. Anyway. Okay, so I think I was in the middle of saying that, I got stun locked trying to figure out some details about the blind swordsman and the outer god of rot and whatever they were talking about. And oh boy, technical problems again. Okay.
Oh, it's fun today.
Yeah. Now, I suspect that, like, we might be looking at a combination of local and Twitch issues, because I'm still connected to you fine. Everything's fine there. Internet everywhere else is
I still
fine.
got you, no problem.
But Twitch connection, as it has been throughout this week, is spotty. So I think we're still in this place.
If the reason why your connection to Twitch had issues and mine didn't is because you're connecting to Twitch via a different route.
It could be the New York server location. Could be. In any case, we'll do the best we can with what's going on. That.
Oh no,
being
not
said-
our best.
Yeah. So anyway, got stun locked on that. Warning to everybody that it's like a pretty bad one. It goes on for like I think like the last half an hour of an episode is just like, wait, what? What is what? What? You know? And we enjoy the lore digs, but in that one I kind of walked away from it going like, oh, I hope that one's not too annoying.
Hey, Wooly, what day do you usually record Elden Ring?
Tuesdays.
Tuesday and Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm calling August 23rd
Okay.
as the final stream for Elden Ring.
Some other people are calling it sooner. Some people are calling it later. I do have a couple of weeks. There are some dates that I'm going to be gone for a period of time, of course. So
Ooh, that might mess with it. Ooh.
Yes, there's an irregular schedule.
Because I felt really good about myself. This was something just me and my FF14 guys were talking about. When you started Disco Elysium, like the second week you were starting to do it, and a friend of mine was like, "I wonder how long it's going to take Wooly," and I future told it down to the week.
Oh shit!
And I was like, yeah, well, if anyone's going to have a shot, it's going to be me or Reggie or Min to fucking pin it down, right? So I'm saying I'm putting my flag in the dirt for August 23rd.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I'll tell you one thing about these long games that we do is
this is like the longest in a goddamn while, though.
It is. It is. But like even including disco and anything else as well, that like like I'll do long games when I don't feel that they're gonna be LP poison, Like LP poison can be like long and like dry. But if it's gonna be long and wet, then that's good.
My experience with Elden Ring and streaming Elden Ring is that you could start replaying it the day after you beat it and get most of the attention still. Like, I have gone through Dark Souls 3 6 or 7 times on camera at this point, and if I started doing it tomorrow, people would show up same as always. Those games are evergreen as anything has ever been.
And I also like whenever the game provides like good discussion fodder, I'm super down with like stopping and having a mini podcast about it. 13 Sentinels was like an exercise in where there's 3 sections to the game, but the 4th section is me and Reggie just sitting down and consulting the corkboard, and that takes time to walk through and talk about as well, not to mention comparing our respective notes on things. So
what's interesting is that my usual thing would be to just hey, Vadi will do it for me,
sure,
to some degree, right?
A lot of people.
But Elden Ring has actually been so large, and Vadi has actually switched to a higher production model of his channel lately. So he has not solved it for the average person yet.
Interesting. Interesting.
Right? Like he did the video that's like the overall main plot, right? But actually, Zuli has actually picked up a shit ton of slack on hey, this is what that is.
I love clicking on a random Zuli the Witch video, and I realized as well when I played Mass Effect 1, I didn't play the DLC, so I missed out on that entire Bring Down the Sky Batarian chapter.
So Bring Down the Sky isn't the best. But learning that Batarians fucking suck shit is so worth it.
Had no idea.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now. the Batarians is like there's like an oopsie moment in Mass Effect 3 where they realize that they have portrayed every member of this whole race as like the worst pieces of shit ever. And they try and like kind of roll it back at the 11th hour, and they have like one kind of normal guy, but it's too late.
So
fucking kill them all.
I mean, I've known about them from the lore entry and like the shitty stuff they do in that, and then now we're seeing them in this chapter. But the audience has overwhelmingly been so vitriolic towards these things that
They're terrible.
I just have to encounter it and see how it goes. But like the well has been poisoned beyond any possibility of neutrality.
You know how in Bring Down the Sky, there's like the lieutenant that comes up to you and tries to like offer you like a different solution. Yeah. So because I had already gone through 1 and 2 while replaying it, I like saw him enter the room and went, "Oh no, another one," and just like blew him away.
Yeah.
Also, did Reggie really lose the hostages and the bad guy?
Correct.
I didn't know that was possible.
It was crazy. I was looking at the situation going, okay, this is bad, but sometimes justified blood on your hands. We cannot let a planet killer walk away. And Reggie not only lost the hostages, but let the planet killer walk away. And it's funny too, because like there's stuff that happens where it's like, okay, you might have a headcanon justification for what you want to do with somebody like that, but if the game is not going to support your headcanon, then you're just letting them walk away, you know? So yeah, we had a little conversation about that because it's like, no, like there's an idea of like, I'm going to make you see how bad the rest of you are going to get it. And it's like, that's not what's going to happen. They said he's going to go to jail, and you have the choice of saying, yeah, it won't be a cushy one either. You know, and I'm just like, no, when you try to kill a planet, you have to stop existing on this timeline. I don't care what else the sacrifices are. There's no math that equals allowing you to get your resources together and potentially try this again when I'm not around, you know?
Yeah, well, I have to agree with you. I tend to save the hostages, but I tend to go Paragon. But in a real situation, particularly when you're dealing with Batarians, because they're complete garbage pieces of shit, people that would kill a planet to serve their goals are irredeemable and worthless and have to go.
Now, what is hilarious is because, again, the well has been poisoned so strongly by everyone who knows the future, is the idea that, like, we continue down this pathway of acknowledging that spacism is probably bad, and that the message we feel stands truest here is aliens are just like more humans. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones. You know, but for the most part... There's a reason
why Elcor and the Hanar are super popular is because they're the only ones that are, like, actually super weird.
Yeah, they're very weird. But there's individuals with individual motives, and you can't dismiss them all. Now, if the series happens to say, except for those fucks over there, which
I'm gonna look me dead in my eyes, except for Batarians.
Oh my god!
Okay, Batarians are fucking garbage.
Unbelievable.
You can't shoot them fast enough.
The message is all about just, you know, accepting what comes, and it even has you going through these moral moments. Like, there's 2 of them where it's like ancient old beings from beyond your fathomable comprehension are kind of evil, but is it totally their fault or not? I don't know. You decide, Shepard.
Well, they're not Batarian, so
right.
They're probably fine.
Let the Rachni live. Let the old growth live. 6 eyes, fucking shoot it.
There was supposed to be a Batarian party member that was an engineer in Mass Effect 3, and I got cut. And that's like one of the saddest, deepest cuts, because that would have been like the ability to like, well, actually, it's because our culture and the people who
what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah,
like, because all you have to do is be like, the only Batarians that go out to space are militant, psychopathic assholes, right? Everybody, it's like a warrior caste, or right?
There's a line.
No.
There's a line in Bring Down the Sky where you go, if the Batarians can't keep their crazies in line, that's not our problem. You know?
Yeah.
So they imply that the ones who want a planet kill are also way beyond the extremes. The average one kind of just wants to slave and scam people, you know?
Yeah. Nah, shoot them all. Can't shoot them fast enough.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But yes, I'm walking into like a pre-salted earth here, trying to be objective about it. But
well, it's impossible.
There is no objectivity to be found.
All Mass Effect like information that has them in it is out and has been out for years, and there's literally zero redeeming qualities that has ever been written ever.
No like, books, no expanded novel.
Nothing. It's crazy.
Okay.
Like, it wants to be like, space and the intergalactic community, except for them. Not them, though. You'll hang out with the Geth. The robots. What if you taught them a different thing? Oh, maybe the Quarians were jerks. Okay, sure. But not those four-eyed fucking freaks.
So, yeah, we'll see. All of that continues, of course. And DNF as well had a good time. Freddy Loco came on. He's a high-ranked hitman on the current ranking charts. I'm having fun with DNF, continuing to push on, and I'm going to try to see if I can get to the deity ranking. I think it's within reach. I think I've gotten pretty solid at it.
Let me ask you a question. If you get to the deity ranking, does that mean that you have finally learned how to play the game?
You're allowed to say you know how to play the game if you're at deity.
Because I don't like DNF. Just I mentioned this to Wooly right before we started. Every time I see the game, it is just, here's how you can lock people down for the whole game and just not let them play. And it's getting like worse like every day.
It's batshit. It's so batshit. Yeah, you show up to this if this is what you're looking for. That's all I can say, you know. That's it's for people who want to enjoy that feeling of smacking the controller out of your little brother's hand, you know. So all that going down over on Multiversus. Yeah, and we'll take a look and see, but might throw a wrench into the works on the schedule based on some announcements upcoming. So I'll let you guys know.
I'm kind of glad I haven't made my schedule yet.
Okay. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. This week's podcast is brought to you by Honey, which is the thing with the shopping. If you remember the promo codes and the fact that you don't have any, you wished you had a promo code.
Wooly, I'm in British Columbia right now. I moved out here. Do you know what they nickname this goddamn province? They name it BC for Bring Cash.
Damn.
Because shit be pricey. Can Honey help me save some money in the Bring Cash province?
I mean, not in the literal offline sense. No.
On the internet here?
On the internet here, yes, because when you shop on tons of different websites, whether it's tech, fashion, pizza, whatever you're into, there are tons of sites that Honey works with. It's real simple. You just you install, and when you browse and shop, you get to the checkout. You'll see the promo code empty box. A button says apply coupons. You apply the coupons. Honey finds the best deals it can for that site, and then you get money off. It's that simple. You click the button, save the money, done and done and done. Doesn't just work on desktop, it's on your iPhone as well. You can activate it on Safari and save on the go if you happen to be shopping on your phone too. So yeah, just like that, scours the internet for promo codes, gives you the best ones that you can find wherever you're shopping. So if you don't already have Honey, you could be missing out. Do yourself a solid, support the show, get some savings on whatever you're buying. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/superbeast. That's joinhoney.com/superbeast. Thanks, Honey.
Thanks, Honey.
Okay. Cool. So, got a couple stories.
Okay. I have a story.
Well, here, right off the bat, yeah. So, they just announced that the Multiversus open beta starts on July 26th. So, next week.
Except the early access for that open beta will be tomorrow morning. Players who took part in the closed alpha will get early access to the beta from July 19th.
Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop.
PC Gamer reporting. So what we played on stream, that was the closed alpha, right?
That was the closed alpha.
Oh, so we'll be getting a code tomorrow morning.
Should. Let me take a look. Oh, yeah. Well, no, there you go. All right, I got an email. You just say, yeah, I want it.
Wait, what?
It looks like... Yeah, it looks like there's the open beta starting on the 26th, and then starting technically tomorrow.
Did you get a code yet, or just the one that went up?
Just a message saying this is happening.
Okay. Well, also we're like assholes. So like if we don't get codes, we can just be like, "Hey, you want to give me a code? Does anybody want to give me a code?"
Okay.
I could go for a code. So what's the most interesting thing about this is the open beta thing that's going to come out like soon. The progress is going to carry over into full release.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
So the game is functionally out tomorrow.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. Cuz yeah, I before it wrapped up, I got my Garnet to I think like at least level 10, so I got all the extra well, not even extra, but I should say the full version of the character.
Yeah.
Cuz I you know, my perception on the perks. So Multiversus is what we're talking about. That's the Smash 2v2 style platform fighter with all the Warner Brothers characters, and it was very good. Had a lot of fun with it last time. And the perks initially kind of struck me as like, you know, customizable elements that are always a little dubious whenever you're getting into a game's balance, or fighting game's balance, I should say. But what it feels like they did here is the perked versions of the characters are actually intended to be the full version. And when you start playing it, it's basically like you have a incomplete version of the character, right? So imagine if you were playing...
It's like tutorializing you by limiting some of your abilities.
Right. So imagine if you're playing Mario in Smash, and when he does his down B spin, like he doesn't do the final pop. And then you get to level 10, and then it's like, okay, from now on he does the final pop. Up until that point, he's just doing the spin, 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 spin part of it. You know? Yeah, I guess with that idea, I'm like, all right. The game is intending you to start at 10, level 10, which you can get to, not too long, a couple hours into
like
it.
half an afternoon?
Maybe more than an afternoon, I'd say. No, you got to put in a couple hours of work. But
hey, do we know anybody at Warner Brothers? Hey, Warner Brothers, if you think I'm cool, you want to give me one of them codes that's got all the characters on it?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Give me the skins.
But yeah,
cool.
it was good, and I remember as well that no one's touched it yet, right? Like we got to try it. We're telling everybody like, oh yeah, it was really fun, but like this one, I remember bringing it up as well at UMAD and a couple other places as like, oh yeah, this is an upcoming thing, but I think it's not going to be real until people get their hands on it. Kind of like with God damn it, fucking Christ, I almost said Brawlhalla.
Why do you always default to that?
No, the word brawl was in my head because I was trying to think of Multiversus, and then I was trying to think of Rumbleverse, but in Brawl, Melee,
you mean multi-Rumble versus?
Brawl versus.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Rumbleverse, people got their hands on it and went, "Oh shit, this is fun." So,
people are confirming that if you didn't get into the alpha and you want to get into the open beta early, all you got to do is watch 1 hour of Multiversus streams, and a code will show up. So we should probably stream that as soon as possible.
I see.
That seems like a good way to just artificially boost your viewership.
Interesting. Well, there you go, folks. If you want to get in, that's the way to do it.
Well, that's how you get it to the top of Twitch in a day, isn't it?
This thing's coming hot. It's coming in
hot. So that's what
happened
with Overwatch 2.
Free.
Do you remember how Overwatch 2 was like the #1 game on Twitch the day that beta came out?
Mm-hmm.
And it was because you could get a code by watching it for an hour.
Perfect.
And then 2 hours after it went on Twitch, like the fucking view count cratered 99%.
Well, in this case, again, I think you guys will probably enjoy it once you get your hands on it.
Did you see them talking about Iron Giant?
No, that's the thing is I'm assuming there's gonna be new characters in this beta as well, right?
It's probably gonna be pretty much everybody.
Well, it sounded like the leak list included way more, so probably not like the DLC shit, but.
So yeah, no, not that. But they were talking about Iron Giant a couple days ago, and they're saying we're really interested in seeing how he's going to turn out, but because for the vast majority of the game's life, he was completely broken, overpowered, couldn't be stopped, and then they nerfed him over and over and over until he was garbage. And then they're like, shit. And so then they rebuffed him again, and now they don't know if the character is good or not.
So the characters in the alpha had the word experimental on them when they weren't sure what was going to happen.
And you could feel it. You could definitely feel the experimentalness.
So fine. Chalk up Iron Giant to experimental. Also, I assume that he's shrunken to be normal sized instead of actually Iron Giant sized.
Well, he's pretty big, but he's not 25 fucking feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the tallest character, but he's he is really tall. He's 2.5 times taller than Superman.
Hold on, what?
I got a gameplay video. Hold on, I'll send it to you. He's fucking huge.
Oh shit, he's massive. Yeah, okay, whoa. They really are. Okay, they're making him big. Yeah, all right.
Like, he's still not as big as you would think because he's like, I don't know, 40 feet tall or whatever. But
no,
like,
but there's like a side by side screenshot of him standing next to the rest of the cast, and like he's literally
yeah, no,
twice
that's
their heights.
Sentinel sized.
Yeah, okay. Well, then that's gonna be you got to balance around that.
His head is above the second platform when he stands on the bottom platform on stages.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
No wonder that character was a mess to balance.
Yeah.
It's fucking gold Lightan.
Yeah, well, I remember when Abigail first got announced, and it's like, can you even jump over him? And it's like, well, yes, but it's gonna be weird on the size balancing. So, okay, interesting. I guess we'll find out shortly.
Man, this game looks cool, man. I'm so happy to be excited for this game.
Yeah, yeah, and again, once folks get their hands on it, you'll see just all that the fact that it's so well thought out and is properly, making itself different from Smash, where in a lot of ways, and not making the same mistakes that Nick All-Star Brawl did, is like, yeah, kudos, guys, good shit. Plus, there's also, I believe, like talks about a big tournament budget scene thing that's going to be done. Like it says there's going to be some kind of tour with a prize pool and whatnot.
It would not surprise me. There's so much money going in every part of its presentation that money would also go into its promotion like that.
And that goes a long way towards getting like talented players to get interested in participating, or at the very least competing for a season, which helps promote and shit. So yeah, okay, well, generally speaking, the news story on that is July 26th is supposed to be the open beta date when everybody can get in.
But you'll be able to get it tomorrow if you really want to.
But you can get in earlier if you if you share a Gmail invite. Okay, other things.
You know what else is happening in hot multiplayer gaming?
Yeah, absolutely. If you liked Warframe, well, here comes Soulframe. Digital Extremes just announced.
I want to give a big shout out that part of the Soulframe announcement is that a friend of the show, Rebecca Ford, has now been promoted to creative director over on Warframe. So Space Mom is now running the show
in control of Warframe. That's pretty cool.
Which is so appropriate. And Steve is now going to be the head creative on fucking Soulframe, which
a couple of
it's going to be slower.
Yeah, so I saw a couple of keywords that certainly piqued my interest. I raised an eyebrow when I was reading about Soulframe, and they said that it's going to be a slower, melee-focused fantasy setting. So it's in a lot of ways going to be a bit of the opposite of what Warframe is, which is, fast guns, space, tech.
Oh, dude, you don't like at the point Warframe is now. You don't even shoot your guns. you just
cast.
You just hit your button and everything dies.
Okay.
Warframe, when Soulframe comes out, I feel like we're gonna look at Warframe as like the longest, most expansive game jam ever to create new ideas for a real game. The idea of them starting over and learning all the lessons that could be learned from Warframe is very exciting because there are many lessons that they learned from that.
Over the years, the discussions about PvP and how to fix it and how it's been treated has been sounded like a source of multiple lessons. The question, of course, is when you say slow melee focus, that makes you think of Souls.
It's got the goddamn word in the title. I can't imagine that is by accident.
So are they really just trying to say, hey, we're going to take that type of framework
and apply it to what we do with Warframe in an MMO context.
So they've described that Warframe has had like hub areas where there's like towns and then like open world sections, and those have been like increasingly more complex. And that Soulframe is going to use that as its basis instead of Warframe's like randomly generated corridor crawling shooting, and then adding open world stuff on it later. So it's probably going to be closer to an understandable MMO as you would think. This is me pulling it out of my ass, but based on my experience with Warframe and Warframe's open world stuff and the descriptions of Soulframe, I'm feeling a less PvP focused version of what Absolver was supposed to be.
Okay. It's funny how studios will do something and then learn and then move on to the next thing, because Absolver taught them how to make Sifu. You know, and now Warframe is moving into what sounds like a Souls type setting. But if you really like step back though and take that part out of it, slow fantasy-based MMO with melee focus is also just what MMOs kind of are.
Yeah.
To begin with, so it's like in an opposite Warframe context, it's interesting because you're contrasting, but on its own, it's like but any game where you MMO'd with a sword and went and fought a dragon with some buddies is also that, right? But that Digital Extremes does good shit, so you can trust it.
Probably the weirdest thing about Soulframe is I'm watching over the trailer again, and I can't think of any setting that has ever done this, despite it being humans and fantasy instead of future robots. It is the exact same art style. Like it is. How do I describe this? Like the style of ornamentation, the color palette, the design on every piece of armor, like you could literally just say this is what the Orokin were up to prior to making a Warframe. Like it looks,
and that probably speeds up the production process for this game fivefold, because you don't have to stop and figure it out.
It is the Warhammer to Warframe's 40K.
40K.
Like it is so clearly recognizable.
Yeah. If you have to switch art styles drastically, then you have to come up with a style Bible. And after you come up with a style Bible, you have to get all of your artists to get used to that and work it out, and then iron out what doesn't work, what goes too far, hit the hard limits, and then with that style guide, you will now create a whole new world of things. Or you can use what you've established and is working. And I think you wouldn't name the game something so close to Warframe if you didn't want there to be parallels to the two, right?
Oh yeah, they're going to continue in parallel.
It's inviting the comparison as opposed to saying Warframe is that old shit and we're moving on to some new thing completely,
I'm liking people saying Warframe minus 40K.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I can dig it.
Cool. I like melee focus as a word. That's a good word. I enjoy that.
There was a point in Warframe's life cycle where melee was more important than it is now, and that was my favorite time of that game. The best time Warframe ever had is there was a point in your playthrough where you used your abilities, your gun, and your melee equally, and that was great. And I would kill to go back to just more melee options.
Yeah, anything on a date with this?
Fuck no.
Yeah. Now, I guess the other bit
later
is, well, the 10-year game, right? Like,
It'll happen, and then it'll continue to happen over the course of a decade.
What I'm going to tell you right now is get excited for next year's TennoCon to give you a vague date that they're going to miss.
Cool. So there's Soulframe. Now, alongside Soulframe, there's news as well. Stop the presses. Holy shit, there is news. Bayonetta 3 trailer has dropped. And if you ever wanted your girl Nero showing up.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm so disappointed in everyone trying to go, oh, it's Gurgil or it's Vergirl or whatever.
Are you out of your mind?
You are all blind and stupid. It's clearly Shiro.
Fuck? Yeah, no. Shiro, fine, yeah. We can go with that. Yeah, no, it's Nero again. Like, jacket attitude, the third. The rival is already there. You know, the rival's already there. Jean hasn't gone anywhere. Like, this is like big Nero vibes. And on top of that, there's the like a little bit of edge to her that is probably gonna get danced on by Bayo. You know, looking like she's got a sword as well. That's gonna be a big, demon summoning unique thing. Is her, like, it's gonna be about her and her weapon as opposed to like her and her hair. So yeah. Bayo 3. Some of that got shown off. And if you are a naive angel, you can start naive angel mode, which is what people thought Nintendo would force Bayonetta to be when they first got involved, which is like the hair covering and like more like, I mean, it's all censored anyway, but it's like more censored on the clothing and the cleavage for like Madame Butterfly and shit like that too. So there you go. Naive angel mode, of course. I can feel the like you can feel the attitude that like Platinum Games is saying the name of that mode with, like a Kamiya style, just like, okay, whatever, if you say so, piss babies, here you are. But it's coming in October.
Great Halloween game. Also, I love the fact, like, you remember people were like, I don't know if that's our Bayonetta, and all the stuff about the voice actor in that first trailer. And this one is fairly conclusive. It's not. And that's not our gen. In fact, there's 2 different gens in that trailer.
Yeah, something's happening. And the Twin Tails...
It's a multiverse.
And the Twin Tails are also, like, creating the shape of the 3 in the logo. So the hair is also part of what they're going with on the aesthetic of the logo. Cool. Well, there you go. It does exist. Shoutouts to the Bayonetta news tracker with the screenshot being Bayo with her jaw agape and Jean just blurring out of screen as she sprints off to wherever the news is coming from.
I really appreciate that Twitter account. Like, I mean, they blew it up on There Is News, but they have continued on every single day of what the latest news is.
I'm always down for the third new kid showing up and giving them a chance to stand with the others and let's see what you can do. Are you fun to play? All right, no problem. Well,
also, I mean, for people that like us that are big DMC fans and whatnot, like there's the bit where she's actually like knocking on fucking Phantom's face and talking about his hard body, and I'm like, okay, we got a Bayonetta game, we got multiversal Bayonettas, we got Phantoms right there. I am now headcanoning Dante's mom Ava as a witch. It's like that was always a goof, but now I'm done. It's done. That's real. I don't care. I'll fight you.
I mean, if you're going parallel universes and realities, you can do all kinds of wild referential shit. You can do whatever you want. But I was gonna say that like it's funny because like the whole like the third new kid bit, Nero, obviously we see how that goes and is the shining example. But technically, if you think about it, Raiden is also the third new kid.
Absolutely.
You'd think he was the second, but he's not, right? Gray Fox is the second there. Mm-hmm. Right? So Snake and
you still get to play as him. He's the silver
VR missions
protagonist.
You do. Right?
Oh yeah, you do, yeah.
You do in VR missions. So you get Snake and Ninja, and then Raiden is the third new kid coming along later that's like, oh, I can do it too. It's like, sure you can, buddy. Oh, fuck, no, wait, you actually can. So, yeah, we've seen this trope and have loved it, like, before. It's I'm very down to see what Viola is going to be like. Mm-hmm. And really, it is make or break depending on like whatever your gameplay hook is. But let's say Viola comes out and she's in this game and her style of play sucks. That's okay because she can come back next time and they can reinvent her completely. And and you get one game's leeway to be awkward.
It's not too important. Don't worry about it.
What matters is by the time your revengeance happens, we want to make sure that you can be more fun to play with all your Devilbringer Buster arms and shit. Bayo 3, October 28th. Okay. Other things going on?
I feel like that game is the game that is going to have the most leeway to just jam as much dissonant Platinum game stuff in it as conceivably possible.
That Nintendo will accept?
No, but I mean like, there's items from another world that have fallen into your thing as the collectibles. And it's like, oh, get this robot police dog toy, and it's the fucking it's a stand from Astral Chain, and
it's also a good excuse to based on what we saw from that first look at it, like we might get another feeling of like here's some of the Scalebound that was like saved and dropped into this. You might get a feel for what Scalebound would have been. They might even look at Viola as a like Scalebound character replacement, I don't know. Maybe they don't see her as a Nero.
I mean, her summon is out all the time, and she can ride it.
Okay, well, does she put on headphones at any point?
She's gonna.
She might. So eyes out for that, I suppose. And then also, yes, a good excuse to have like different versions of each of the characters in terms of gameplay style. You're like, here's your Bayo 1 Bayo, possibly.
Fucking Jen is a pirate on a space choo-choo train.
Whatever.
Yeah, okay, fuck it.
And then, this time around as well, like, you get your Rodin and any fucking whatever, playable Enzo for all I care. Like anybody, just throw them all in there. Have fun with it.
What if Enzo was French?
Yeah. So we'll
also, I gotta say, the timing on you talking about this is kind of hilarious. Because the enemies in Bayo 3 look exactly like Excalibur from the hit game Warframe.
Oh, do they? Because the trailer introduces them as neither angels nor devils, not Paradiso or Inferno.
I'm gonna grab you a fucking screenshot here.
Something partially human.
So here's Here's Excalibur from the hit game Warframe for you, Wooly.
Yep. Okay.
That is like I'm not nuts, right? Like the default enemy looks like just like that.
Yeah. With the blank face and features, a little bit. Sure. Yeah, and I wonder, and I guess that's the other bit too, is like, with a whole new category of like a whole new like series of books of enemies to introduce here with this third faction, like, are you now just gonna have 3 games worth of?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
they're gonna
have
absolutely carry in the
Glorious,
whole roster from 1 and 2.
Your Swindlers of Progress, your like all of it's gonna be in there.
So the big question on something like that, I doubt it very strongly because it would be very mechanically and intensive, is if you are going to fill up a whole roster with 3 separate types of enemies, if you have multiple enemy types within one encounter, do they dislike each other as well?
That could be interesting.
That would probably be a fucking mess.
My big question is, are they going to bother trying multiplayer again?
I would like them to try it for realsies instead of the weird version we had last time.
Yeah. I mean, even in the, like, you know, the hey, DMC3, we added co-op to Bloody Palace, like, it's like we didn't do much, but there it is. It's like a modder did it. Like, even that, it's like, fine, fair enough. Don't think too hard about it, but let it be decent. Okay, so Bayo 3 aside, Sony bought Bungie and welcomed them to the PlayStation family.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I mean, they've been in that process for a while. The way it sounds like is that Bungie has been managing Destiny, but in addition, they have been working on a new live Surface game in the background for a couple of years. And my understanding is that Sony wants that.
Exclusivity on whatever the Destiny's, like, yeah, the next thing is,
because everybody's buying up potential big old franchises, like the Microsoft's got the Bethesda and whatnot.
This is such a weird one though, with like the history of Bungie and its various like exclusivity moments, you know, and then
oh yeah, now on Sony PlayStation from the makers of Halo comes new thing.
Which was originally Apple exclusive, mind you.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I think Bungie's the weirdest one, because I think like I think there might be the only one that like went exclusive for 3 different platforms.
And then after a while, in about 12 years, when Destiny 4 or whatever is no longer in a glimmer in our eye, then they leave Sony. They buy their own exclusivity back from Sony. They're going to enter into a deal with Nintendo.
Sure.
To make a game for them.
That being said, I still think this is, you know, Sony responding to the acquisition wars and just raising the chips
100%,
higher and higher, right? So this might end poorly. Well, I mean, whatever happens, like the that web of like lines that just ensnares every single game company, continuing to get like simplified into the bigger top corps is never a good thing. But this acquisition war in particular between the two might end in some studio closures and people getting fucking fired left and right at some point in the next couple of years. Like, I don't know how this is going to shake out. You know, it's a gamble, but if people don't buy in that hard on these exclusives, they're not going to wait too long before they go, yeah, fuck it, cut losses. We'll have to see.
It'll be fine.
Whatever. If it doesn't work, just stick Goku in it, right?
Yeah. Is that in reference to anything?
How about the fact that Goku, Vegeta, and Beerus are coming to Fortnite?
What? That's crazy. I can't believe it. I can believe it.
Late to the party, but you know what, it brings something to mind. I'm kind of interested now, because like Dragon Ball joining the guest roster it's an obvious choice, and it's one that people always tend to talk about, but the idea of them waiting for all these other franchises to get in first, or them kind of like holding back until they can figure out the details with like Bandai or whoever they or not Bandai, but like publishing companies, Japanese publishing companies and shit. It kind of it's interesting if you take a look at the list of every single franchise Fortnite has crossed over with, right?
Yeah.
I think you can look at this as a definitive list of like, here are the mascot franchises that are willing to collaborate with anything, providing it's big enough that you can get to this point. There's always been stuff that's willing to show up everywhere, no matter what's going on. Like, how Shovel Knight is like, fuck it, Shovel Knight's gonna be there no matter what game you got going on, no matter how big, how small.
Why? What's the reason he's gonna be there? Fuck it, shut up. He's there.
Some studios are
just
like,
there.
We want them everywhere. And I feel like Predator and Alien and RoboCop as well, to some degree, have been like these games have been these IPs where the license holders are more than willing to shove them anywhere for crossovers. So like in history, we can just look at this list of Fortnite crossovers as like, okay, definitively, right, these are the companies that are willing to push things.
Yeah.
Stranger Things has had weird crossovers. That's there was that, whatever that mobile game was, like they're trying to put that in that category. Naruto obviously gets in that category. Marvel and DC obviously get into that category. Not every cartoon, but Rick and Morty will get into that category. The Walking Dead will be like, put Negan and Tekken, and put Michonne and Daryl in Fortnite. Like, it's a list you could look at of like, this is your roster of picks for any guest things going forward of high enough profile.
So Goku, Vegeta, and Beerus getting in is obviously awesome, right? Especially since you didn't play the Fortnite, but way before Naruto, there were these horrible anime girls that they put in as part of their season pass that had this filter on them that looked like complete garbage. And every time a new anime girl would come out, the filter would be substantially improved. And it was fairly clear that what they were doing is they were trying to get it good enough that you could put shit like Naruto in the game. And sure enough, when Naruto gets put into the game and the filter gets added to him, hey, he looks fine. Right?
Yeah.
And so now Goku's going to look fine.
But why try to make it look fine when you can just do Ava in PUBG?
Yeah. What else is...
have you seen those things?
I have not.
Dude? Well, look, here you go.
I'm looking right now.
Ava in PUBG. That's what you get.
Okay.
When you don't have your anime filters properly sorted out.
That could be worse.
It's weird.
Yeah. Because the plug suits on realistic humans just look like they're a bunch of latex sex freaks.
Correct.
But I'm not going to name names because I don't want to blow this person up because I'm sure they're very nice. But the way I found out about Goku this morning was this person's tweet going around, and they're a Fortnite content creator. Apparently a Kamehameha, in quotes, will be added to the game as part of the Dragon Ball collaboration. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to be, but it most likely could be a new mythic ability. And there's like a screenshot they posted with Goku doing it.
That's hilarious.
And that's surfaced to me with a tweet going around going like, people who play Fortnite competitively or for content seem like they've never seen a TV show or played another video game in their life.
Master Chief from Fortnite, of course.
Yeah. Though that being said, what it could be and would be interesting is that I don't know if you ever heard about what the Thanos thing was.
Where you get the gauntlet and then you
get the stones and then one person gets to be Thanos.
I did.
They also had one with Darth Vader, where if you got a certain thing, you could be Darth Vader and you would have the abilities. You could do something by throwing 7 Dragon Balls on the map, and if you get them, you get to
turn into
Goku, and your moveset gets flight and super speed and energy blast instead of a gun.
Yeah, I mean, considering that you're basically just another insane god character, that makes probably a bit more sense than just using a Goku skin running around popping shots, Though, like,
it never stops being funny to have characters that like are superhumans and just like, but I have an AK.
Yeah, but the problem is if you collect the 7 Dragon Balls and you turn into Beerus, everyone's gonna be fucking pissed because nobody wants to be Beerus. Everyone wants to be Goku.
I don't want to shoot Beerus with the AK. I want to shoot Goku.
You work hard to get those balls, and then you know. What do you mean I can't be?
I gotta say, this proves that Smash Brothers is the worse game than Fortnite.
Damn.
Because they got the Goku first.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think Sora's a harder get than Goku. I feel like Sora's a taller like mountain to climb.
I don't know about that. Wooly, I want to point out that when you said nobody wants to beat Beerus, people in the chat going, I love Beerus. Beerus rules. I want to have sex with Beerus.
Okay.
There's some Beerus stands out there.
Okay. All right. Folks, let's just be reasonable here, okay? Of course, if you're listening to a podcast like this, you're into shit enough to be like, yeah, I'd love to play as Beerus. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the kid who calls Master Chief the Halo man from Fortnite. That kid doesn't want to be Beerus.
Yeah.
Do I have to explain this? It's obviously
you do. You do.
All right. I guess we'll see when it happens. But hey, what if instead of Goku, how would you think those kids would care if they ended up turning into Yu Yu Hakusho? What about that?
I think they would be highly fucking confused.
Well, prepare for confusion. Live action Yu Yu Hakusho is coming, and it's coming to Netflix apparently. But seems like it's not a Netflix production. It just happens to be the place where they're going to be airing it. I read like the first probably 3 I think 3 volumes of that. I want to say Min loaned me like the first couple of those, and I read through them, and I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't get to the part where it becomes like a big tournament, because of course it has to.
You mean the Dark Tournament?
I did not get to the part where it became a tournament, but I was reading it when it was like just a little like spirit detective bit, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that was pretty fun for a bit. Now I have no idea what's going to be happening with this live action stuff, and I have no idea whether it's the kind of series that
like could be done live action.
I'm really glad to see that Yu Yu Hakusho is now it's reached its cultural significance to the point where it can upgrade itself to the important medium of live action, like Death Note and Dragon Ball and Cowboy Bebop, and leave that crummy old animation and page and line work behind.
You must have missed that post where the warning to not confuse live action Yu Yu Hakusho with the Cowboy Bebop situation, because it's not being made by Netflix, therefore it might not be as bad as that ended up being and such.
Oh, don't worry, my derision exists broadly for live action adaptations of anime and manga properties.
Yeah, I want to say we've brought this up a million times, and it's always like, okay, at best it comes out and it's like, well, that was all right, and then obviously at worst it ruins everything. But it's never been a situation where it's like, oh fuck, that was better, or at least I'm having a hard time thinking if I came up with any examples of a better live adaptation.
I think the Kenshin one was apparently pretty good. People have said that one's pretty good.
Kenshin's the example of like, yeah, that was good, right? Exactly. That came up last time as well. 20th Century Boys was good. There were a couple of them where you're like, yeah, that was a good movie. I have no problem with that. Speed Racer is a kind of a wild, crazy example we bring up every time.
Speed Racer is great.
Speed Racer is crazy. But
I hated that movie when I saw it, and then I thought about it like 10 years later, and I had this moment of like, no, I'm an idiot. That movie was great.
Yeah, and then of course, if you want to stretch it a little bit, you can get into All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
That's
a stretch.
I think the reaction is the same in that it's like these are always there's fewer exceptions to the rule than there is just like the rule generally ends up resulting in a bad adaptation.
So I feel that the ultimate proof that live action anime is trash, as a general rule, it has some exceptions, but the ultimate proof of that is that it's accurate enough that even an American anime, that is Avatar: The Last Airbender, an anime made entirely outside of Asia, was still able to fall victim to its own live action curse.
Yeah. So, yeah, here we go. There's the post that says, random reminder, Netflix is not a production company. Yu Yu live action series production, Robot Communications, did not produce the 2019 reboot of Cowboy Bebop or any live action series you see on Netflix. Robot did produce Parasite duology movies, Alice in Borderland, a Parasite Eve movie, no really, and Takashi Miike's Terraform Mars. Holy shit. Terraform Mars live action?
I've seen some clips of that. It looks not great.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, calling something like Terraform Mars live action is pretty loose with the term, when like there are technically actors who are unaugmented in shots, but 95% of the film is all CG. I don't think that counts.
Yeah. Having not seen the shit that is what everyone loves about Yu Yu, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that as a classic anime, it is just not suited, likely not suited for this type of thing. But
I mean,
what are you gonna do?
Yu Yu Hakusho is like kind of uniquely dorky in that like the main character like finger bangs demons to death with his finger gun.
Like, I feel like the first thing you're gonna see is a screenshot of him not having a pompadour.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like step one. Oh god. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll fucking see. But as of now, it's just an announcement, so I don't got much for you on that. Yeah. Yeah, GTO as well. There's an example of like
I fucking love the live action GTO.
GTO live action. That was good. That was good.
They were smart and they're like, well, it's gonna be live action, so we're not gonna be able to do stuff that's crazy. What should we focus on? The romantic angle. Make it much more of a romantic story. And guess what? That was smart.
I wouldn't say it's better, but it certainly was good.
Oh, it's great. I watched the live action and then I watched the anime and I'm like, wow, the anime is incredible, but the live action has more of the romance angle and it's just like, oh no, are they gonna get together?
Will they, won't they? And then they did in real life.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. That's really cute.
So there's that. Just a random quick announcement here. They've been teasing it, but we've officially locked down that there will be a winter port this year of the Rumblefish.
The Rumblefish?
The Rumblefish 2. For the first time getting ported to console. Weird that all this
like
noise...
we summoned this into existence.
Weird that all this noise about the Rumblefish 2 is happening now, but it never got ported. So, yes, please do. And this is a Dimps fighting game, and, you know, Dimps, like Aiding, is one of those behind-the-scenes fighting game companies that comes in to help you when you don't know what you're doing, but you have an IP that you want to make a decent fighting game out of. And Rumblefish is also very unique in that it's one of the few examples of a vector-based sprite game. So it's 2D.
Oh, it's weird.
And it looks like Super Robot Wars looks, with the limbs kind of sliding around a little bit, more than individual frames of animation across the entire sprites. It's an effect that, like, it starts... when it's done badly, it looks like shitty Flash.
Oh boy, does it.
But when it's done well, like, you see the latest Super Robot Wars games, and it looks incredible. And Rumblefish was in that era where they're starting to figure it out. Not quite 100%, but it is an interesting, you know, piece of history. And it's fun. It's a fun fighter. So I'm glad it's coming out of nowhere. From that fucking Atomic Wave era of arcades. 2005 is when the transition was happening, where essentially fighting games, quote-unquote, died. And you didn't have CPS3, you had the end of Naomi as an arcade board, and the new arcade board, the Taito Type X2, which would then house Street Fighter 4, was still 4 years away or so. So the in-between dark period, you kind of had the Atomic Wave as like a receptacle for...
I really like the Atomic Wave board games.
It's they're weird ones. They're weird, you know, little fragments of history. But yeah, it's there's some stuff on it, you know. Just don't play KOF Neowave and you'll be fine.
I forgot that game exists. Oh man, that game's fucking terrible.
Don't talk about Neowave. Never ever talk about Neowave.
That game is trash.
You can't.
Oh, I'm gonna go look at it. Oh man.
There's KOF games that have years. There's KOF games that have numbers, and then there's the ones with neither. And we don't go into the ones with neither.
Oh.
it they did drop Art of Fighting 2 Geese Howard in it. So young Geese Howard with the long hair and the white suit.
Oh man, I'm looking at it. It's so ugly.
But just yeah.
So
and it wasn't because they were experimenting with like switching it over, you know, to the new engine basically, because that's what arcades had in the mid-aughts. So anyways, Rumblefish 2 coming soon.
Good for the Rumblefish.
Good for them. And still nothing to do with the sequel to The Outsiders whatsoever.
Nothing.
And then we might be, I think this story kind of sounds a bit like jumping the gun, because the Mario movie isn't even out yet, but Nintendo has acquired Dynamo Pictures and will rename it to Nintendo Pictures.
Wow, they must be really happy with that Mario movie.
They're hard committing before the thing is even out. Guys,
I have to say they must be so in love with the Mario movie that they're going to hold up Chris Pratt as an example to Italian Americans everywhere.
I mean, the upside of this is that they already did work on Death Stranding, Persona 5, and other M's with post-production stuff. So it sounds as if they are, you know, just looking to acquire a studio that's been, you know, worked on game stuff already and just get them to do film bits. But if they help them out with the, you know, animation on their games as well, then sure, no downside.
I'm sure they're trying their best and doing a good job.
That being said, if
there's
Mario,
no win on that Mario voice. There's no win on it at all.
Like, if this comes out, dude, and it does, I mean, we might be in the era where, like you know, with Sonic and such, it's like you can spend enough money to get it like acceptable, you know, and I think we're in that era of like you can just focus test it and drop the cash until it comes out being like, yeah, right, you know, that's fine. You can avoid a John Leguizamo adventure.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like Mario sounds like a bunch of different things, right? Mario sounds like right, like the Mario and Luigi games. He sounds like Charles Martinet. He sounds like Captain Lou Albano. He sounds like Michael Hoskins, is that his name? I always
the cartoon
forget.
Version?
No, I'm talking the movie.
Okay.
So he either sounds like a fucking hilarious stereotype of Italian people going, "Oh, the pasta, oh no," or an Italian American plumber who's like,
swing your arms from side to side.
Right? Bob Hoskins, that's it. But Chris Pratt is neither of those times 100.
No, he's just protagonist man.
And so we either get Chris Pratt, at which point, what the fuck, or we get Chris Pratt doing one of those, which is also what the fuck.
Yeah. Now here, you know what is not what the fuck is Charlie Day just going as Luigi.
Yeah, also, Charlie Day is Italian.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Okay. But
the Pepe Sylvia thing, if you like fucking auto-tune that so the words go away, that sounds like Mario and Luigi dialogue.
We pretty much is just gonna go in that direction. Yeah. Like the high pitched like that thing is gonna absolutely translate perfectly over to Luigi. No question. You know? But
like,
yeah.
It should have been like Paul Giamatti or James Gandolfini.
But I think the move is like no young normal protagonist hero man.
I think that's the move they're going for. They're not going for the actual mustachioed Italian stereotype, you know? They don't want it. They want something that sounds like a character that'll have a moment on a trailer. A whoa, whoa, whoa!
They want him to probably sound like Sonic. Like, kind of.
Kind of. I mean, John Ralphio, you know, like, he got there.
I feel like we're heading
White.
towards what... I feel like we're heading towards what might be the stupidest discussion of all time. Where, oh, do you like Sonic or Mario better? It's like, well, the Mario games are better, but those Sonic movies, man, they're way better than Mario.
See, okay,
this discussion sucks.
But like Sonic's voice being like shaped by the Jaleel White nasal thing, like that works because he's a mascot hedgehog. And then later when they're like, no, let's just make him sound like, you know, we'll go with the John Ralphio, and you're like, yeah, he's still a mascot hedgehog, whatever, right? That's probably fine. Yeah. But the major part, like Sonic's voice has never been an identifying quality of like his character in, you know, especially the older games. Mario, the moment he got a voice, it became the running punchline of that character for every game since. Early games, there were no voices. Like that? And then the moment it became a thing, it was like, oh, this is the bit. The Charles Martinet bit is the whole thing we're doing here. So,
like, you know what Mario should sound like? Mario should sound like that Italian guy on TikTok who married an American woman, and she secretly places a camera in her kitchen while she breaks spaghetti, and videotapes him freaking the fuck out in like bibbidi boopy Italian.
Sure.
That's like just oh no the spaghetti. That's what he needs to sound like.
Yeah. And there are some people might be disagreeing with the statement I just made. Hey, Pat, what is the defining sound that Mario makes when he jumps?
I mean, there's a couple. There's boing, and there's Yahoo, and there's
Wahoo,
woo, woohoo.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the defining sound that Sonic makes when he jumps?
Boop.
It's the sound of a jumping noise.
Yeah.
Not him saying anything.
Yeah.
So.
Though I will say the Sonic cartoon stuff got like way stronger mind share over time.
Oh yes.
Like you're too slow and the chili dog shit and don't let your stepdad touch your dick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Knuckles especially. But even then they fucking reinvented Knuckles with Idris Elba. Anyway, whatever. We'll see. The trailer's going to drop and it's going to create shockwaves, and then they're going to go back and CG Mario to make him look less weird because he looks a little too realistic, but not quite realistic enough. Like
I'm
a weird little human with perfect.
I'm so excited for the Mario trailer. Everyone is going to be mad.
There is no win. There is no win. It has to be when the credits roll and you go, yeah, that was that. Remember that bit? That was a really good bit. That was a really funny bit. And then remember when Charlie Day did the other funny? Yeah, he did. That was a good bit. All right.
Oh, I can tell you right now, Charlie's gonna steal the goddamn movie.
And it's like, remember when everyone else was funnier than Mario? Remember when the rest of the cast was? Yeah.
I mean, they got Jack Black as fucking Bowser, right?
So
that's A+.
You can see it coming a mile away. The show stealing. All right, let's take some letters.
Hey, if you want to send in a letter talking about some bullshit or whatever, I don't give a shit. Go ahead, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Here is one coming in from Ethor says, "Dear Enkindled One and Kite Lord, in the Fate fandom, the original fan translations always translated Saber's name as Arturia or Arthuria.
Right. That makes
as in, like,
sense because it's supposed to be King Arthur, right?
feminization of the name Arthur that roughly matched the pronunciation used. Jump forward to the official translations, and suddenly the creator decides the official romanization of her name is Altria. Vehemently so. Dead set.
That sucks. That's way worse.
Altria. The fan base violently hates this and refuses to accept it and choose to refer to her as Artoria. To this day, even though the creator's stated intent is completely something else, it's Altria.
That's way worse. The fan base is right to hate that. That's way worse.
Do you have similar examples of the fans refusing to accept the creator's will?
Oh. So that's your good ass death of the author shit, obviously. Man, that sucks.
When you're going off of a source material that we know better than you, but you just happen to like the way this rolls off the tongue, perhaps with an accent version of it. Yeah, I get it. I get people going, no creator, you're wrong on that one. Guts and Gatsu is like the fan translations fought about that for a while.
I hate it.
But we landed on Guts officially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's okay. Yeah.
People are just going in on J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling,
fine.
right yeah.
Did
J.K.
you
Rowling,
see that shit at the auction?
No.
Oh, there's a famous auction called Christie's Auction that auctions high-ticket, high-value items to crazy rich people.
I think I've heard of
often
Christie's before,
donates
yeah.
the proceeds to charity. A full set of Harry Potter Edition 1 autographed went for nothing. No bids.
Oof. Yoko Taro said his name is not Nier.
Yeah,
is that a thing?
Yeah, it is. He's wrong. I don't care. I mean, you want to get into this shit? Yeah, let's just start talking about how to pronounce any monster in Monster Hunter. I'm still talking to my friends about Tigrex versus Tigrex.
Tigrex.
And it's like, it doesn't matter how many times I show them the clip of the fucking game the game devs saying Tigrex. Like, but it's like a tiger. It's Tigrex.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like, you say Tigatron, you don't say Tigatron.
I don't.
In my head, I just Tigrex. I don't know. Yeah, it's I mean, yes, that does make sense. It just linguistically, I don't know why it feels like it goes towards the other way. But
well,
I'm
because
not
supposed to be Latin, so tigre.
Okay, there you go. Yes, that's why I'd read it that way.
Yeah,
that ain't a hill to die on. Yeah, no, that's great. Artria or whatever. It's like
Artoria or Arturia is way better. That's
like the best possible result would be after years of the battle. Eventually, the creator just referring to it as Artoria or Arthuria.
Yeah,
and just giving up. That'd be amazing. Anyway, okay, there you go. All right, we got one coming in from Ben who says, "Dear Castle Super Beast, the sport that Pat wants exists where teams are tied to their location. It's called I'm going to try this. Calcio Storico or Calcio Storico. Italian.
Italian.
So it's a type of rugby football mixed with MMA. It's found in Florence, Italy. Dates back to the Middle Ages. It's a sport played between 4 teams. Each represents different districts of Florence. And the district that you're born in determines what team you represent, and you don't ever change it. As far as I can tell, there's no money involved in the competition, just pride and the ability to say you're the best for a full year. The game is only played as a semifinal and a final, so each game is really make or break. And then you can check out some videos of people playing essentially rugby that then breaks out into MMA fighting.
I just typed it into the Google, and
Calcio
the image
Storico
is the most dangerous game of football, and it's a guy with a headband covered in shoulder down in mud with blood all over his fucking face.
I see lots and lots of blood. So this is, in fact, the sport that you have been asking for.
I want it. Hey, and Italy, good job on this one. You're going to get an unironic double thumbs up from Pat. Pasta was a good start. This is continuing as good shit.
And the fact that you're only allowed to be on the team from the area that you were born in as well also just underlines that.
And it's small, so it's like a city district, so it's super vicious intent. Because like if you're say you're doing a national sport, right? How much fucking beef are people from Uruguay gonna have with people in Norway, right? I don't know. I don't know if there's any long-term historical connection between those two countries. But if you're talking about the city of Florence as the macro scale, yeah, no, I bet you guys on one team know a bunch of pricks on the other team.
There's a screenshot of someone mid-power bomb, and also like a giant, like sumo-sized man over here. So, yeah, okay, there you go. Calcio Storico. Done.
That's great. That's great.
All right, let's take one over here. So Ed says, "Dear Mr. You Know and Mr. You Know What We Should Do."
Oh, that's like one of the best ones in a long time.
Once mentioned how Star Wars is focused on filling every blank space conceivable for Disney to get their money's worth, and it got me thinking about bad continuations and knowing when to stop. Imagine, if you will, a DMC Sparta video game. You guys once said that nothing Capcom made could ever live up to the hype of Sparta, so it's best to just keep him a legend. If a Spartan game was made, everything you could have imagined before gets stifled by canon. Once you see it, that's what you're stuck with, no matter how awful. By the principle of things better left unsaid, showing off every nanosecond of a particular fiction can be more detrimental than leaving room for the imagination. It serves as a deterrent against official limitations. So let's call this the Sparta effect. Feel free to use the term.
There's an example that predates that by a couple decades that I think is probably much better. So have you ever seen the movie Hellraiser, Wooly? It's a horror classic. It's got Pinhead.
Pinhead.
There's like 5 Hellraiser movies. Every single one but the first one is complete fucking garbage.
Oh wow. I've only seen that first one.
I forget which one, but the third or fourth one goes into how did Pinhead become Pinhead? He was just a man before, and it fucking sucks.
Oh man, yeah, okay.
It sucks.
You don't need to know why Pinhead is Pinhead.
Wait, there are 10 Hellraiser movies?
Since then, probably.
Shut up! I thought there were fucking 5. Holy shit!
That's, now that is one of those franchises where it clearly must have went straight to DVD after a certain number.
Oh,
where you don't,
2 onwards.
You don't even hear about them theatrically in any context. Yeah, but that was a big deal horror movie back in the day. I absolutely recall, and I remember the third one on VHS had like a very had like a striking VHS cover that would stand out at the video store. Yeah, only seen I only know the first one, I think.
First one's good. That part
Sure.
where that dude explodes because of the chains is rad.
Also,
God damn.
when I later saw the God Hand in Berserk, I kind of just went, "Oh, it's them. We're doing it. It's the weirdos from that
It's
come
literally just
roll out with
them.
Pinhead."
Yeah.
Um,
Imitation's the sincerest form of flattery and all that.
drawn by an inanimate object too, as well. You know. Uh, and okay, let's take one coming in from Relum, who says, "Dearest TO organizer and teed off orb grinder, 'tis the season of fighting game competitions, and as such, old discussions are new again. One that I've seen every year is seeding as preferential treatment for superstars, or if it's to make sure everything is fair for all players. My novice smooth brain feels that pools based on when someone signs up would be the most fair, and that everyone just fights their way to the ladder from there, but I'm constantly being shouted down by louder voices that I'm wrong and dumb and know nothing about how it's done in the FGC. I beseech you two demigods for an explanation." From Relum.
Okay. So before you get into the much more comprehensive explanation, I
Sure.
will just kind of knock down the idea that seeding as a result of sign up puts the power of the bracket into the audience, which can be gamed. So you can't do that. It can't be completely inside the participants' control, because they could manually seed themselves
Create
wherever they
the
wanted
list.
by organizing themselves.
Okay. So obviously, when we talked about the killer bracket, you know, and whatnot, the death pools and so on, hilarious results can ensue by going down any of those routes. But if you would like a reasonable explanation for it that is not your friends just yelling at you, I can attempt one of those. As someone who's organized and done TOing and had to seed players accordingly. So the basic idea is essentially that at the surface level, you have the thought process of you don't want, you have the thought process of, okay, if you do seeding, you can avoid having what you usually would be finalists meeting up too early in the bracket, right? And that is kind of like the idea that, like, okay, if these are probably the best players, you would want to avoid them just meeting up right away on a random whim. That's not a great enough explanation for in general, but on a surface level, that's the first kind of thing that happens there. The idea that it's like, yeah, the idea of preferential treatment feels pretty shitty in that context. But what is actually you're trying to accomplish is any example of prior results should lead to an ability to weigh things so that you can avoid it's not just having finalists meet early. You're also trying to avoid people who are new potential players that are good from getting their chances stomped out because their bracket happens to have two finalists in it, right? So someone who should be able to make it to, you know, the top 8 and possibly have like a trajectory, if they end up like, of course, random, if some people might look at it and go, random is random and that's the rule and we want random to be a part of what this is. And if you see things that way, then that's valid. You can run a tournament that way. Some people also like running single player brackets with single elim with no losers bracket and all kinds of other things.
That's vicious.
Very vicious.
It's a vicious bracket.
But the idea of what is happening with the seeding here is something that will help. What generally most players want a result that feels like your ranking at the end of the place in your placement is comprehensive and an accurate placement of how good you are according to everyone else in this bracket, right?
Yeah, there's also concerns past that, right? So let's say,
I have more for sure.
Let's ignore, but yeah, I just want to let's ignore fairness, right? Let's go to, there's two that come to mind. One is viewers, right? If you have every killer in the tourney in bracket 1, you can get into a situation where the back 70% of the tournament is just a clean sweep and no one's going to watch the finals because it's, it's Daigo versus some guy.
Yeah, so
And
that was
sweet.
so my next thing was lopsided finals, lopsided semifinals, lopsided top 8 is another reason exactly. By having those people that would rank them, would place higher regularly, have to get eliminated through that system, you end up with the one strong player just gliding to the top, and it's particularly uninteresting.
Hey, here's the semifinals on. You're going to sit down and you're going to watch 3 hours of the finals. Here we go. And it took 25 minutes.
Right. And some people might say, it doesn't matter that it's uninteresting, it's more fair. And it's like, well, okay. But people who are playing, again, would like a result that somewhat resembles their accurate ranking, right? Now, the only way to actually get an accurate ranking of everybody is to sit and do a round robin. If you had everyone that entered EVO play 1,000 matches against every other competitor, and then you saw how many of them you beat and how many you tied and how many you lost, you would then know your exact number. But obviously, that's fucking impossible.
32-man locals, it does not scale up. It scales up exponentially. You can't...
Precisely. So seeding allows you to make up for the fact that it can't be a round robin, but we can look at your previous results and everything else you did this season, this year, recently, and go, okay, that shows us some weighting that we would be able to guesstimate like your strength according to if it was a round robin, you'd have the time for all that data. Now we can't kind of do that, but this gives it a chance to avoid those results, avoid a lopsided finals, avoid having people who are in the middle just getting stomped out way too soon because the 2 strongest killers made it out of their pool, no one else did, and if you didn't have those 2 killers, you would have gotten way higher, you know.
Yeah.
And it's generally something that most people entering the tournament kind of want to have, like a reading of their where they're at with. So that's the general thing behind it.
The other concern, and probably the final one, is that skill and potential skill is not the only factor. You run into a situation, let's say a couple years ago, for EVO, there is suddenly, for the first time ever, historically, a disproportionate amount of entrants to the Tekken tournament that are coming from Pakistan, right? What would it look like for your bracket if you put every single guy who all came together as a group on the same plane in the same bracket from Pakistan? You would get, what, 20 guys, and then the one guy who made it out of pools is the only rep from that whole country that gets to actually have a shot at top 8. And be it for people from, let's say that we're talking about EVO in Vegas, people from Korea, people from South Africa, people from Brazil, etc. You don't want to pit the people that came all the way across the planet to your event to knock each other out of the tournament.
Yes. Now, that is a secondary factor that you use. So when you actually create a bracket and you seed, seed by location is the secondary factor that'll determine where they go. So people with the same flags, they try to push them away from each other. And that's exactly what, as you mentioned, it's a preferential thing. It's also really shitty if you fly halfway around the planet to be eliminated by your training partner. A team kill, as they call it. It just sucks. So it's just in the courtesy of being nice to people and giving them a chance to really like go against a completely different group of people, you try to seed somewhat for the diversity of location as well.
Let's say I want to go to EVO, right? And I want to enter into the fucking pools, and I'm finally going to do it for the first time, and I sit down, and you're sitting next to me.
Exactly.
Fucking bracket 1. I'm never going to fucking go back to EVO. Are you kidding me?
That feels like shit. Now, sometimes it does happen, and it's unfortunate. I mean, there have been times where, like, a player from Alaska sits down next to another player from Alaska, and they're like, oh my God, really? And it's like, well, it is the same country, but it just is unfortunate in that regard. It's not going down to a regional level or sub-regional level. But yeah, you do seeding from location as a courtesy. You do seeding by skill as a means of getting a more accurate ranking result. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I think that's a pretty definitive breakdown. Thanks for the good question, Rel.
Cool. All right, that'll do it.
Have a good week, everybody.
Okay.